Just a minute. All right, so welcome to All Access Coaches Corner with Rising Coaches. If you haven't been to risingcoaches.com, check it out, www.risingcoaches.com. A lot of great features and just benefits to being a member of Rising Coaches. Almost 1,500 members now, so definitely check that out. We give them much props for this opportunity, this platform. Excited to have a family member of mine on today, associate head coach from Bethune-Cookman, Dominique Taylor. I'm going to let the young fellas go first and introduce them. Got a couple of former players we'll get a mic to since they were here early. We'll reward them. We'll let Ferguson go first, and then Bostic, you'll go next, and then I'll close it and we'll get started.
Well, I'm just introducing myself.
Yeah, no, introducing him, not you. We know you.
Sure. I was about to say, my fault.
You got to pass the rock right now. Ain't no shooting the rock this time.
Man, no, I feel that. But, nah, man, shoot. Coach Taylor, man, he somebody I played for at South Isle when I transferred from Morehead State. A dude that really, man, he really took me under his wing when I first got there and, showed me the ropes a little bit, coming from, transferring a new scene, kind of made me feel comfortable. And the crazy thing, I was raised in Grand Rapids, so like we kind of had that little connection off top. So nah, man, good dude, man. I still keep in contact with him every now and then. I know he doing big things down there at Bethune, man. Just lucky to have a mentor like him.
That's what's up. Appreciate that, Ferg. Then we'll let the ACU Wildcat, All Access Rising Coaches Corner family come on and introduce him as well. Neo Show's finest.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Neo Show, man, so he's my JUCO coach back in the day, man, but super relatable. Definitely kind of, helped me pay the way, man, showed me what hard work was. Got me through my season. I mean, we used to be in the gym all the time, putting in the work, which is crazy because we played in the same league, played at Corpus. And so when I was getting recruited to go to SFA, he kind of told me what to do, as far as leading questions, like got him in the right direction. And then ever since I got into coaching, man, we just always stayed in touch, man. He supported me, came out to the game, watched us play in the NCAA tournament, so just always been love, man. So Coach Taylor, my guy, man, he was super young, man, relatable, man. He don't know this, but when I was like, man, yeah, this is one of the coolest coaches I had, man, back in the day, man. He didn't even know it though, man, but for sure, man, just his work ethic, man, is dope. Great person, good personality, man, very genuine, man. So, man, I rocks with him, man. We just been in touch, man, since it's probably been since 2009, man, or 2010, man. So it's been a while.
Years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciate that,
y'all, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so I go back all the way back when Coach was still a player at Corpus Christi, and Chuck Taylor, for those that don't know, Chuck T. He was the head coach at Richland College, and I had just finished at Richland College as an assistant. And was at Collin County. And they used to have some mean runs, open gym. I think Nick came through, played some open gym. I might have been playing, who knows. Probably wasn't pretty if I was. But just been family ever since. We hit it off then. Both younger guys. He was finishing playing. I had just finished playing. And just have always stayed connected, man. He's in my family tree as far as basketball coaching. Have been able to see him go through the ranks. From being a guy who you knew just had an it factor that day in the gym when I met him. I'm like, this dude is going to be a coach. And he ended up playing at Commerce his last year for my younger brother. I want to say it was assistant coach, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so played for my brother. So another way that he became fam and just knew it even then as a player. You just knew he was going to be a great coach. Has a special it factor when it comes to young people, ability to lead. Knows the game at a high level, can communicate at a high level, and just always put in the work. So excited for him and all that he's been able to do from South Alabama to becoming a head coach at a junior college to now doing a great job at being an associate head coach at his age and his place in his career is a big thing in a great program. So excited to have him on today. So without further ado, we'll introduce Coach, let him say a few words, and then we'll get straight to it.
Man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Obviously, you guys that spoke just in the intro, man, I appreciate y'all, the impact that y'all had on my life, man, ripple further than y'all will ever understand. And just, again, I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the journey. Really just looking forward to talking to everybody and kind of sharing a little bit of my experience. And I never really been one great with like networking, and I'm not the most social because, I'm competitive. I don't like to share trade secrets, but as we, as a people, as we try to grow and, do better, and obviously so many people I'm connected to prior to, the coaching career moving into the direction that it is, anything that I could ever do for anybody on the call or anybody connected, man, that's words that I live by. So.
Yeah, so excited to have you on, Coach. We'll get straight to the quarantine. We all been living in it. So tell us a funny story, kind of a way we like to open up here on All Access Coaches Corner. What's a funny story or something funny you learned about family member or yourself or whatever it is?
The number one thing is I gotta get a better hobby. I'm a basketball coach. That's pretty much, what I do 24/7. So that part of it, man, I don't got a lot of interest outside of that. So when the world kind of came to a stop, things got real slow for me. But I'll tell you the funniest thing, and honestly, it's something that I'm kind of looking forward to. I got a 6-year-old daughter. For people who kind of know me personally, Simone. Simone is a gamer, guys. Like, Simone is heavy into the video games. I didn't know this. Like, she is heavy into Minecraft, Fortnite. Like, she only 6, so we hadn't got her no video game systems just yet. But that's the next wave, and I'm surprised because she only 6. But I'm talking about B. She is heavy into the Minecraft, Fortnite. Like, she gonna have some skills in architecture, I think.
So they giving some scholarships for that stuff now, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of a new thing, the gaming. So in other words, she been beating you up pretty good.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Shit, I'm easy work for her. I haven't played no. I tell guys all the time I haven't played no video games since 2012, and even then I wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? But she that's the biggest thing I think. Just coming out of this the last 3 months, man. Just spending that time. She been home, I've been home. We've been spending a lot of time together, and I learned a lot about the game world. I learned a lot about the game world from a 6-year-old, man.
That's good stuff. I think we had Dwayne Broussard on as our first guest, and he said just about the same thing. So tell us, we know you have a coaching family. Your brother's on the call. Tell us about your family, just from coaching. Tell us about your family at home. Just tell us a little bit more about your family.
My bro on the call, Coach Robert Ford, is the head coach over at Salem and West V. I'm the oldest of all my parents' children, so I've been big bro for a long time. We a tight family. My dad, Bobby Taylor, retired basketball coach. 20 plus years in the game. He'll tell you that he could coach anything. He coached arena football at the pro level, college football. He's been in it for a long time. Made a big impact on me. From playing to coaching and all of that. You alluded earlier, Chuck Taylor. People don't know this. Me and Chuck, we don't really share blood. It's a common thing. Him and my dad and my mother were best friends in high school. They little triad was like real live best friends growing up in the same neighborhood. And he just happened to have the same last name from up the street. You know what I mean? So he's been huge impact. Another one that's just opened so many doors and spent so much time pouring into me. And helping me kind of work, my way into the game and show me the way. So those are, the biggest influences in terms of just the guys that share the blood. But, it's a lot of family loyalty, Brian Burton, the Jason Burtons, the Ryan Ritters, the Bostics, the Fergusons, the Cobbs, these guys that I cut my teeth with, and we all know this. If you coach, you spend so much time with, guys that you in the trenches with. That relationship, you spend more time with your staff than sometimes you do with your family. So, family is a relative term, B, I got guys that we obviously sharing blood with, but there's so much family. And that's, one of the things I obviously love about what we do.
No, absolutely, man. You've been big time to a lot of people. Obviously, you can see that on the call, which is cool to see so many former players and people that you consider family on this today. So excited to keep it going, man. So next question is just tell us, some of us already know, but tell everybody more about said, I see you putting your Lions. We know you went to Commerce. We know you represent said. Tell us a little bit more about your journey. We know Commerce is in there. You're going to get to that, but tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you got into the game, how you got into coaching.
Um, man, it's funny, man. I didn't know it at the time, but I've been really coaching my whole life, man. Like every team I played on as a young kid, you know, group project in school, like I always been a guy that wanted to like be at the front. I want to present it to the teacher, you know, I want to be the guy that's kind of had that. So just having that, you know, I always loved the game. You know, basketball came honest. Like I said, my dad was a good player in his own right and coach. My mom is a huge basketball fan. Like I said, we got basketball in our family through and through. And so, you know, I was a good player in high school. Wasn't, you know, great, but was good enough to have some opportunities to play at the next level. And got an opportunity to go to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. It's funny, man. Chuck was on staff there at A&M Corpus Christi, was back in Michigan recruiting some guys, was recruiting some other guys, and discovered that I was a decent player, you know what I'm saying, in my own right. So we kind of put it all together. I got down there, and man, brotherhoods, you know, Coach Arrow, man, Andy Helton, Chuck Taylor, the staff, the guys that was down there in that program. I mean, it was something that I hadn't never experienced before. It opened my eyes to a world beyond Grand Rapids, you know, just like, again, being, you know, from the city, you know, not knowing how big the world really was, moving all the way to Texas, far away from my family. I was solo, you know, obviously Chuck was there, but that experience, man, just, it changed everything, you know, and having a chance to go down there and be on a really good team. I mean, we won 20 games every year that I was down there. You know, I played with some really good players, guys that had a chance to play pro ball. We went to the NCAA tournament in my redshirt sophomore year, ran through the Southland for all my Southland guys that's on the call. You know what I mean? We put up one of the most historic runs that the league had ever seen. But, you know, overall, it was such a life-altering experience because it just exposed me to the game at a level that I had never seen it. I was so local, you know what I mean? Just coming from Grand Rapids and Michigan and just keeping everything in that regard. And then I got down there and I had teammates from, you know, Houston and Fort Worth and guys from, you know, overseas. And I mean, the game became global to me. I just wanted to be, you know, famous in my neighborhood. I wanted respect. You know, when the paper came out and the game was on Friday, I wanted the Saturday paper to say, you know, I had 20 points in it, you know what I mean? So having that chance to go and learn how to, you know, prepare and compete at the Division I level was just eye-opening. And, you know, we played in the tournament. Coach Arrow got an opportunity to move on and transition. And he went over back to South Alabama. Perry Clark came in, was the head coach. Another great group of guys in terms of staff. Billy Garrett from, you know, DePaul and Chicago days. Kevin Stink Norris, Baltimore and Florida ties. Brian Merritt. I mean, the staff was high level. And so, you know, I kind of say all that to say this is like, I was being groomed and trained by high-level coaches as a player, and I didn't even know it because they were just doing what they did. You know what I mean? These guys that still coaching today, still are being very successful in the coaching game today. You know, I played for those guys. I was, you know, trying to soak up the film and figure out how I could be a better player, how I could contribute to our success. And, you know, those dudes really poured into it. They did what I try to do every day. They sat down and watched the film and broke down, you know, the game. And I was a reserve guy. I wasn't one of our top guys. And so that commitment, you know, really left a mark on me. I graduated, had a year of eligibility left. And, you know, I wanted to have a little bit more freedom as a player, you know, and so I was looking for some opportunities to maybe go down a level and transferred to Commerce. And, you know, really honestly found out former teammate of mine transferred to Commerce, Scooby Johnson. Went over there to Commerce, was an All-American, just got elected into the Hall of Fame there at A&M Commerce.
They call him Scuba James because he's so good.
hey, Scoob was a ball player at Corpus, was a ball player at Commerce, you know. But he really opened the door to the Commerce thing. And then obviously Coach Walker, man, you know, legend in Texas and up in that area in East Texas. Your brother, you know, Coach Burton. Those guys, again, were just more guys that coach what they heart, you know what I'm saying? And I was coming in as a D1 transfer. I had obviously my mind made up on my own agenda, so to speak, but they helped me understand again how much bigger the team and how much bigger the game was than what I was trying to get accomplished. And so I think that, again, I just, as a coach, been training my whole life to, you know, be in this business and to kind of have the impact and the approach that I have. But I think that, you know, graduating and I wanted to play, you know what I mean? I got my master's from Commerce. I got it done in a year. Coach Bird and Coach Walker really pushed for that, in the department to make sure that I could finish that master's program in the time that I was there. And so I wanted to play. I wanted to, have a chance to continue to chase the hoop dreams. I had it in my blood, I still love to play the game, The game of ball has been so good to me. And so, I wanted to do that. And the relationship with Jeremy Combs at Neosho manifested through a relationship he had with my dad and with Chuck. And it was funny. He was coming off of coaching semi-pro. So he was coaching, in the IBA, kind of like just opportunity for guys to keep it going. And, he had an assistant spot and was basically like, hey, I can't pay you to play, but I can pay you if you want to, come over here and help me with this and that in regard. And so, I got linked up with him to try to get latched on and just get a chance to play and put film together and just keep that dream alive. And I got into coaching. Bostic was there as a young dog. And, we had a good group of guys, guys from Michigan that, I had brought down to school with me, that, I had just knew from the neighborhood, guys that coach had obviously brought in. And, man, I fell in love with coaching, B. Like, again, I still like to play. We'd be in the drills. I still wanted to hoop. We had open gym. It was JC. I was 23, 24. I still had that bug. So we be, still trying to get it in. And it was the guys like Bostic, honestly, man, not to keep singling him out, but it was guys like that made me fall in love with helping him get to where he wanted to go. And that started again to put other people above myself, to put a guy like Bostic in a situation where he could play D1, and to have guys, that were counting on me to help show them how to work and how to, compete at the Division I level and work at the Division I level. And I know my playing experience really made those guys feel like I quote unquote knew how to help them get there, but they really bought into it. I mean, we spent hours and hours in the gym, man, just punching that clock. And the results showed on the floor. We had success. We won games. We put together some of the better runs at the time that Neosho had. And, did my recruiting thing and coached a lot of other good players in that regard. And Coach Arrow, who I played for, had a spot on staff. And that time at Neosho, I remember being there. And I remember I just kind of alluded to you. I was thinking about coaching, and everybody's like, what do you coach for? What's your goal? Where do you want to go? And I was like, at this time, I'm 23, 24. Like, I just want to keep growing. I want to try to go to the highest level. Let me coach the best players that I can coach. Let me get my hands involved with the best guys. I remember I wrote a letter to John Calipari at Kentucky, like, oh, Coach Calipari, I would love to be on your staff. And I got the auto response back. They sent it out. One of the GAs probably kicked it back. And I remember getting a letter like, oh, man, I'm going to be on staff at Kentucky. You know what I mean? And it was the first year to the second year, man, that I really started to, I think, come into my own in terms of coaching. I was at Neosho. Neosho, again, wasn't, at the time, the name that it is today. Coach Combs has done a phenomenal job of building that brand up in Kansas. And I remember having chances to go work at other schools that had a name, schools in Texas or, Florida. And I remember telling Coach, like, this class was one that, like, I had recruited. I had, beat the bushes in Kansas. I had, kind of cut my teeth. And I was like, I think I want to see if I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, this is a little bit more having my fingerprints on it. And so we went back the next year and, had another good year, had great success. And then, like I said, Coach Earl had an opportunity after 2 years where, he was looking for, I think, they had great success when he got to South Alabama, played in the NCAA tournament, had a bunch of, great runs in there. And I think that they had a turn where he needed more loyalty around him. You know what I mean? And I don't know all the ins and outs. I wasn't there, but I remember the conversations coming in and everything that he was talking about was like, me and what we need. Like, he kind of gave me an opportunity as a young guy to have a presence on the staff. You know what I mean? And so I think when I got to South Alabama, I was just anything that needed to be done, man. Wiping sweat off the floor, taking guys on runs here or there. I mean, just whatever needed to be done. I was in there working like a walk-on. And, Coach was like, hey, man, you can, tying me into recruiting, at a higher level. It's different when you in JC and you in a high school gym, you talking to every prospect that's in there when you a JC guy, because everybody is up for grabs. When you get to Division I, there's NCAA rules on when you got to have some relationships, the AAU game. And Coach Arrow really did a great job, man, with me as a young guy, just letting me work, go out there, fail, have success, do it, figure it out. And then one of the best things that happened to me in that time, and I didn't know it then, was Jeff Price joined our staff. I had been on staff for, let's call it 2 weeks. And, we had another guy leave the staff for whatever reason while I was there. And Coach Errol called me on the road. I'm showing up to Disney. This is where the AAU championships used to be in Disney. So I'm showing up there and I get a call. Coach Errol was like, hey, I just want to let you know, we're going to have a new guy on the staff. Don't worry about anything. I'm like, all right, coach, whatever. I got you, whatever we got to do. Yeah, I got your back, because that was my guy. I ran through a wall for coach as a player. I was one of those dudes that, I tried to set an example every day for like what his expectation was. And even though, like I said, I wasn't the best player or whatever, the guys will tell you, I tried to set a standard every day that we was going to be excellent in what we did. But that was because that was the way that the program was ran. And so Jeff Price showed up, and Jeff Price has got head coaching experience. He's got high major experience. He's another head coach, another guy that's now taking an interest as me, as just a young dude on the staff, but he just kind of giving me another guy to lean on, man. And so I think that, again, alluding to what I said earlier, my whole life, man, I've been being trained and groomed by some of the top guys in this business and guys that have been so loyal to me, you know what I mean, from day one. Really just off of a share and a love of the game. You know what I mean? The game did it. I would love to say it was because, of, something that I did or some skill set that I have. I just had a pure love for the game. They had a pure love for the game. And that brought us into a situation where we use that to work together and try to, again, change lives and build great programs. And so I, leaving South Alabama, Coach Errol retired. Coach, Price had a chance to finish the year out. I'm looking for an opportunity to keep my career going. I'm young, it ain't too many 23, 24-year-olds that's working. And then now I'm fired. And it's like, yo, where the next check coming? What you gonna do? And at this time, my daughter's mother, she was pregnant. She was in school, in grad school. So she got pregnant with my daughter. So I'm also calculating my personal life into, how my career and all these things blend, because I'm young. I'm chasing basketball as a player. Now I'm chasing basketball as a coach. Now all of a sudden there's, I'm going to be really responsible for somebody, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be my daughter. I got a duty. And so I remember, sitting down thinking to myself, well, I spent 2 years in Division I, and I was a grinder, you know what I mean? It was, 28 days on the road out of 30 in a month, missing 2 or 3 practices to catch, games and, high school games in Houston, to meet the team in Kentucky, to be there for our game, to leave there, to drive to Nashville, to see another recruit. It was like, I was literally just on the road. I was blowing through that recruiting budget like it was unlimited, you know what I'm saying? But that's what the job was, and they needed to get out and see. And so I made the decision that I wanted to be in JC. And so, obviously you don't get to call those shots. I got 4 years of coaching experience. It's like, you're going to take whatever job is available, young fella. You know what I mean? You'll do whatever it comes. And so I remember being in the Final Four in Atlanta, and, I'm interviewing with guys, I'm networking. Michigan is in the Final Four. I'm a big Michigan basketball fan, playing Louisville. And so I'm there, my team, some of my teammates now are coaching, some of my former players, they obviously, kind of getting their first start. So I'm networking and doing all of that. And I run into Ryan Ritter on the street, man. And we just literally ran into each other in Atlanta. We chopped it up. It felt good. We put it together. We had the obviously great relationship, that spurned from the aftermath. But on the front end, it was just 2 guys that had a love for ball, had a love for impacting young people. And, together, I think we had a vision that was very in unison. And so, I got the job at Daytona State, and, there are obviously tons of opportunities, I think, to do different things. But, me and Coach, again, we were like one, you know what I mean? Kind of on the accord. It was the work. I was like, this is where I needed to be. This is what I needed to be doing. And so did all of that. And at the time, my daughter now, she here. So they're no longer trying to just, smooth the lady through the pregnancy. She here now. And so she still got work that needed to be done in terms of the academic work, the school. She's trying to get her career off the ground. And she needed more hands-on. And, coaching is a full-time thing. And people always tell you, if you're a coach and you got a spouse, your spouse is as important as anything. And so, I think at that time, I felt like I needed to reciprocate that. You know what I mean? And so I'm sitting in Ryan's office like, hey, man, I think I'm going to have to take a step back from the college level. I got to, I need to be more home every day. I can't, do this or do that. I got to be there and, have this opportunity to make that relationship with my daughter and her mom, make everything work in a great light. And so, took a step from Daytona, started working kind of prep school stuff, and I coached every day, man. I tried to step out and work in the admin, and I was in charge of the athletic department and hiring coaches. But every day I was at practice. Every day I was trying not to step on those toes because I wanted to empower the guys that I had given the opportunity to be a part of the program. But every day I was in the gym. I was trying to train this guy or that guy. And I'll tell you a funny story there. Obviously working in the prep, man. And so I'm in charge. The district was K through 12. I was in charge of sports 7 through 12. And so we got them off the ground. And so I'm in the, I'm working. I don't want to coach none of the teams. I want to focus solely on just the admin. I want to help, some other people have opportunities to coach. I'm back home in Michigan. And I couldn't find a 7th grade girls coach, not somebody that would do it at the level that everyone who had trained me expected it to be. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people sign up like, yeah, I'll take the stipend and I'll do it. But it's like, no, man, I want to like show the girls the game and teach them or whatever. So I coached the team myself, you know what I'm saying? And that was more out of necessity. But I'll tell you, in the now 10 years that I've been coaching, man, it's one of the most fun times I've ever had coaching. And I'm telling you, I've won championships coaching. I've coached guys that have gone off. Those girls, man, sitting there in the vans on the way to the game, and they worried about some boy that wrote a message about this or that. And I'm just telling you, it was one of those times that it brought me back to the question you asked me in the front. How did I get coaching? I've always been a coach. It's just who I was. You know what I mean? It was the nature of the way that I've been honestly bred on this planet, and feeling lucky to do it and to do it professionally. But I tell people all the time, man, I would do this for free. I've done it for free. We are, you know what I'm saying? Most people who get into this business, I would put my time and energy into helping all of the young people that trust me to help them. I would do that without any compensation. You know what I mean? And so to do it at the level that I do it at is always a blessing. And, I fast forward, I got that itch. So now I got to get back to college. My little girl, she a little older. So now she in school, mom's is, more stable. So I'm back in college coaching, and, I'm looking for an opportunity, but it's got to be the right one. Cause I made this commitment to be here and be a part of my family and, try to make that thing work. And so there were some opportunities, but Brett Campbell, man, down at Chipola gave me an opportunity that was just, it was through the roof because he understood where my priorities were. And a lot of young people get caught where, you got to make a decision on, are you going to commit to, taking care of family and being at, your daughter's, ballet recital, or are you going to be taking care of, this, film breakdown or the jersey order or the laundry or any of that type of stuff. And Brett was like, listen, this is what I need. I know where you at. Here's an opportunity. And him and Brennan Foley, man, them dudes, they let me be a part of what they already kind of had rolling. But, they gave me the autonomy to just still kind of have that bridge. And it was a beautiful segue for me back into the college game, because then I got an opportunity to get more experience. I'm 27, 28, man. I'm trying to juggle, my life and, my career and all of these things that, we as men and women try to do in this profession. And it was just great to have those people support me in that, And then, again, I call it luck. Preparation met opportunity. I got a chance to go up to Southeastern Illinois and get a head coaching opportunity, and I jumped on it. You know what I mean? I spent, years in JC Division I, had went back to the prep level. I had done some training. I substitute taught. I've done all these things. And I was like, I'm finally going to get a chance to put my name on the front of the program, right? And it was like, yo, this is going to be my program. I'm leaving my mark. And went up there, great opportunity, man, good players. Learned a heck of a lot about sitting in that first seat. You know what I mean? Like, just what it mean to be in charge and every single decision coming down to the things that you decide. And, when you win, you getting that pat on the back. When you lose, you're the one kind of holding your head and they're asking the questions to you, so it's like those were the things that, you know, I remember being in that situation. But again, every single day, I loved it, man. Just going in there and rolling the sleeves up, being in the gym with my guys. Head coach, I'll do the laundry. I'll wipe the sweat off the floor. Come on, let's sit down. We'll cover the study hall. My guys in the car who know JUCO. It's like that. You know what I mean? You cut your teeth in the grind. But that's the part of the game that I love. I mean, that's the part that I remember, you know, telling some guys with some opportunities to maybe get back into the 4-year level, you know, maybe take an operations role or do some different things. I'm like, bro, I got to be with the guys. You know what I mean? Like, I love putting my suit on game day. I love, you know, all of the things that come with having success. But the work is where you find the real love. And that's the part that, you know, I did it. And then one spring day, man, my guy Ryan Ritter just called me and goes, man, I think I'm about to be the head coach at Bethune-Cookman. And I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, where did that come from? Like, I didn't even know that, you know, he was a candidate or that he was chasing or any of that. And I remember telling him, like, oh yeah, when we start, like, I'm there, like, let's go. And, you know, his first is like, you know, well, let's take, I gotta do this and I gotta do that. I'm like, hey man, I'm there. Don't say nothing else. You know, if you going, I'm there. And so again, just blessed, fortunate, man, that the relationship that he and I built, you know, left such a mark on him that he gave me another opportunity, you know what I mean, to come back and, you know, at, you know, 30 years old, you know, hey man, we can give you associate head coach title. It's Division I. And now everything that he and I had, you know, poured into from the time to Daytona State to all of the different things, we was getting our chance, you know what I mean? And it was just one of those deals where, you know, it's like, honestly, it's like luck, but, you know, we say this all the time in this business, preparation meant opportunity. My whole life have been working and loving the game with a pure heart, and opportunities have come across where, you know, people have said, hey, what do you think about this? And I've never, like I said, I was the guy that I want to stand up. Hey, yeah, I'll go. So, you know, I'm 18. It's a scholarship in Texas. Hey, I'm running. Let's go. I ain't never been there. It don't matter how far it is. You know, you want to, you know, move to Commerce. Yeah, I'll come up here. Where is that at? You know, you want to come to New York. It don't matter. I'm there. I'll do it. It's no questions asked. And so I think that, you know, to go back to that long-winded answer to your question about coaching B, I'm a coach, man. Like, that's what it is. Like, to be blunt about it, like, that's who I am. That's the way that my character is built. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do anything else. If I worked at Enterprise, I would coach. I would be coaching the guys at Enterprise to have the most sales this week. And I might have me a little team somewhere, you know what I mean, trying to win a championship with the 8th grade boys somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's the love of the game. And so I think that, you know, I always want to have that. I never want to lose that love.
Yeah, I don't think it's a might. If you were working at Enterprise, it'd be for sure you'd have like 16 side, have a whole program. No, I appreciate you taking so much time to go into the depth of your story. I think there's a lot to be said about it, a lot to be saluted. Going all the way back to Schoolby James and playing with him. So I met you in the gym at Richland where I had Coach Scooby the year before. The reason why I knew Chuck T is because he recruited Scooby. Yep. So it kind of all ties in. And, you know, I think what I said when I met you was I knew you were a coach then. You know, you said that you kind of always been a coach and you were a coach when you played and, you know, kind of rising and going through the twists and turns of this business together, man. I've always known whatever happened, even when you got out, which says a lot about you, to put family first and make that commitment for your family to step away from the college game. But I always knew you'd be back, and I always knew you'd be doing what you're doing now. And I think head coaching is going to be in your future again. I do. I don't know when or where. We don't ever know that, but I just know the way you invested in, the way you love it, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And I know Coach Ritter thinks the world of you for him to be able to make you an associate head coach and put that much trust in you from the jump. I absolutely love that opportunity for you too. So excited, man, and to keep talking some more. So speaking to Coach Ritter, let's go ahead and jump into BC. Tell us 3 things that makes him special at what he does, and then follow that by what just makes Bethune-Cookman a unique place.
Man, Coach Ritter, man, that's like in this business, obviously relationships mean everything. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about it a minute ago. We spend so much time together as coaches, as programs. man, the blessing that I have in my life where like I'm working with what I consider to be my best friend. Like me and this dude, I was in this dude's wedding, you know what I mean? Like, you know, his daughter, my daughter, like the relationship, it extend way beyond what we do X and O wise when we step in between these lines with our guys. And so, you know, things that make him special, I could give you some cliche stuff about, you know, coach is a knockout recruiter. He's a great relationship guy. He's a great motivator. I mean, yeah, all coaches have some skill set and that stuff. But the reason why I think Ryan Ritter is the top notch and the reason why I'll put my livelihood in his hands, bro, is the authenticity. Like he's gonna give you the truth, the real, all the time. You can ask guys that play for us, guys we recruit, guys that work with him, anybody that come into contact with Ryan Ritter, they'll tell you he raw. Like he is real, real, real. You know what I mean? And as somebody who invests a lot, I coach with my heart, I live with it. Like I can't help but to say like, that's the type of dude that I want to align with. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of guy you want to be with. And then another thing that, you know, honestly, man, and he won't probably want me to say this on here, but I got to tell people about him, man. It's like, this dude is so humble. Like this dude got so much humility and it's so natural. Like it's so really who he is, right? Like you talk to people who play with Coach Ritter, you talk to people who know him, they'll tell you, man, it's always the group above himself. You know what I mean? It's always the team first, his assistants first, the players first. Like everything in his life, his wife and daughters first, like everything in his life is that way. And as somebody who is very close in age to me, he's left such an impact again, because I'll tell you the truth, I ain't really that way by nature. You know what I mean? My coaching career, my playing career, a lot of that was driven by, you know what I mean, my own ambitions that I had for myself. You know what I mean? Things that I aspired to be. And I looked at how successful he was and how much passion he still also shared. And still, man, he puts everything in the world around him in front of himself. You know what I mean? And so those are the things right away that to me, that make him special, because that's a special trait. That don't got nothing to do with coaching. He could take that into any industry in the world. I mean, honestly, he don't even got to work. He could just do that as a man, and that make him a special person. You know what I mean? And so that right there in itself is what make him different to me than a lot of people that I meet in the business. And then also Bethune-Cookman, and you and I kind of just touched on it a little bit. Bro, it's a hidden gem in terms of the talent that's accrued here. You know what I mean? When you think about the president of our university and his resume and where he come from, you know what I'm saying? He just secured $13 million in additional state funding for our university 6 months into the job. That's a high level dude. You know what I mean? Our athletic director, our VP of intercollegiate athletics, this dude is the athletic director of the year in the country. That's Duke and Carolina and all these high level schools. This dude is the AD of the year. You know what I mean? Ryan Ritter, 40 for 40 in the ESPN. This is low major, MEAC, small time, presumed school. And I'm telling you, we got giants in our industry right here. You know what I mean? To me in itself, that's what really make our spot really special. It's the people. And I know it's a cliche thing where people always go, man, we got great people that we work with. And yeah, that's dope. But I'm telling you, like, when we bring recruits in here and people come in our program, people that are touching their lives, not only do they care about them, they got the pedigree and the resumes behind it and the backing that's going to open doors. It's going to stand on the legacy that the school built on. You know what I mean? I know right now is real popular. HBCU is a term that people, you know, trying to figure out, like, what's HBCU and what's that life all about. Man, Bethune-Cookman is one of the only schools that's named after an African-American person. It's founded by an African-American person. And if you guys dig into the history of the school and the university and the legacy behind what it stand on, Dr. Mary McLeod, this lady had the foresight, like back then, to see, like, she took $1.50 and bought a dump in the town and started a school with 5 little girls back in 1900. You know what I mean? And we standing here today in 2020 on that legacy right now. Like, that to me is profound. You know what I mean? When we all work for universities and we all got pride in the schools that we coach at. And I feel like this place brings so much to the table that, like I said, like, every day, bro, I'm lucky. Like, this not work. This is life. This is a calling. You know, our VP, he says that all the time. our athletes, this is our ministry. You know what I mean? And the athletes that we come into, those are the guys that we have an opportunity to minister to. You know, so whether it be basketball or football or whatever, this is a place where it's encouraged for the coaches to live and pour into the athletes 360 and to be in there. And then to take it a step further, you know, the one thing about a smaller school and a school with our background, you know, is founded in faith. So we're a private institution. It's not necessarily religious based, although we got backing with the, you know, United Methodist Church. We can talk freely about, you know, religion. We can talk freely about race. We can talk freely about a lot of things that help us as coaches be very connected to our guys. You know what I mean? The relationship that we able to build is just the platform, the school itself is stand on that. You know what I'm saying? And so we can go deeper than just hoops and talk about, you know, the men that we trying to cultivate in this program on a regular basis. It's like, yo, Cookman, yo, like I said, it's where it's at. And, you know, it's one of those deals where, like, when you come and you in the gym, the game is like, wow. And then the environment, you know what I mean, is crazy. You know, you walk in and you thinking like, oh man, it's kind of a humble spot, you know what I mean? And then you walk out of there and you're like, bro, that was one of the best 3 hours experiences I had. You will be a fan, sweating from the energy that come in the gym, you know what I'm saying? And that's the way that the university is. And that's why I say, like, I love it as a coach because I get to do this. But we all know, man, basketball is such a small part of our job. I mean, we deal so much with, you know, going to academics or going to the cafeteria, going to the dorms, going to all of these other things that happen in our job. And when you got that energy and everything that's around the university as a whole, like I said, it's small. It's got a very humble kind of feel to it. But I'm telling you, man, it's giants here, man. Like, for real, just roaming around, like just actual giants in the industry.
Well, speaking of giants, obviously very well said by you. I'm trying to figure out if y'all got any extra letters of intent so I can sign based on that.
Come on. I remember you used to be able to shoot that thing. Come on.
A little something slight, man. Something slight. But no, very well said. Very, very well said. It's no wonder why you guys have been able to kill it in recruiting with you leading the way on pitches like that and Coach Ritter closing deals. But
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Of course, you've been around a lot of great coaches. I remember back when you were in South Alabama and I think it was a GMI, Coach Arrow just running behind you, just like, well, I don't know what court I'm going to next, but he knows.
Yeah.
And, the good old days, man. But you've been around a lot of greats, so you definitely will be able to identify with Coach Ritter, what makes him great. I think it says a lot about you and you guys' relationship for not only you to have such a best friendship kind of relationship. I know Coach Bostic's worked with Golding and Tanner, and they have a similar type relationship, and it's led to championships and them doing some really historic things. I'm sure you guys are on your way to doing some of the same. But for you to be able to speak to him as a man and talk about that's what makes him great says a lot about you and says a lot about him. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. I know I will. I think we might have talked once when back when he was at Daytona about big fella that came to Lamar.
Yeah.
Definitely great on that. And then the school, I think you did a great job just kind of painting the picture of the school and kind of what makes it special, what makes it unique. So appreciate that. So tell us last two things on Bethune. Tell us about the staff, and then also tell us about, in these four categories, what do you love about what you guys do? Offensively, what's one thing you love? Defensively, recruiting, and culture. I'll remind you if you need it, but go staff first, and then one thing you love about those things.
All right. Starting with the staff, again, I go back to Coach Ritter. It started with him. His first thing he did, I feel like, was bring in me, somebody that he feels close with. And that sentiment echoed to everything else. You know what I mean? I got to mention the guys that came with us. We had Jeff Claypax with us, who's in this game, people who, don't know, has been a lot of places, won championships. Him and Coach Ritter played together, man, back when they was coming out of high school back up in Ohio. And that relationship, led to the opportunity, and he was one. Woody Taylor, who's on our call, who's now over at Asheville. Again, a guy that is from Orlando, played in this area, kind of like a little local legend, so to speak. And Coach brought him in. It's all about relationships, and Coach is big on loyalty. He big on having guys around him. He probably don't want me giving too much insight into our conversations because we talk about a lot of, intimate stuff. But the truth of the matter is he got an opportunity, man. At the time was second or third youngest head coach in the country, and he got his shot. And it was important that he did it his way, and he did it with the people around him that he wanted to have around him, and that if it was going to have success, it was going to have it on his terms. If it wasn't going to have success, he was going to go down with the people around him. You know what I'm saying? And so, today, what we got, man, we got Denver Cobb on our staff, who is from here, played with Coach in college, is a dude that is as relentless, man, as I've been around in this game. Worked at Texas Tech under Chris Beard, groomed under Mark Adams and Brian Berg. Like, this dude is a machine, B. You know what I'm saying? Like, coming over here to BCU from Tech, they just come off the Sweet 16 run, and he coming in every day working with lotto picks, and every day he treating this like it's that. You know what I mean? And that's a guy that we got on our staff, but that's why Coach Ritter was like, I think I'm going to bring DC in. For those who don't know, Coach Ritter, a white guy. We work at Bethune-Cookman, HBCU. Coach Cobb, Denver, he a white guy. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, perception is reality. People perceiving these opportunities and they looking at it. And I remember talking about, like, Coach, like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm white. I feel like I got to give opportunities to minorities because that's what's in his heart. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people to look at it and I'm like, when people know Denver and they know what he stands for, they'll get beyond all of that. You know what I'm saying? And it won't matter because, like I said, he rolled his sleeves up every day and he in the trenches with the guys the way Coach Ritter is, the way that I am. And then obviously, like I said, alluded to, Coach Woody had a chance to move on and he's up at Asheville. And then we got, not lucky, but another prior relationship, Donald Reyes came to us from Tulane. He's got a major high level, background with the operations there at Tulane. Came highly recommended from a lot of people in terms of his background and operations. And then he showed up and he a killer in the skill development. You know what I mean? And he's a guy that comes in and fits very naturally with something that could be off-putting. Because, like I said, me and Coach Ritter, we're friends. Him and Denver, they friends. They were roommates in college. So you a new guy coming into that, you can very easily feel like I'm not one of the guys or whatever. And one, Coach Ritter, that would never be allowed for anybody in this program. Two, Coach Reyes, as himself, is a guy who don't take no for an answer. He's very comfortable in who he is and his skill set. He know what he brings to the table. And it's like, he had some opportunities here or there, and I'm like, man, they had a killer over at Tulane. They ain't even know it. You know what I mean? The networks that he got, and like I said, the way that he is on the floor, and obviously what he was allowed to do in terms of the operations there, he's bringing that experience to us. I mean, between the three of us, fellas, we in here operating what I feel like would be like, you know what I mean, like the Power Rangers, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we all gonna loop, we gonna group up, everybody bring what they bring to the table. And then ultimately, hopefully the guys that put on our uniform, their lives is transformed. And that's one thing that is big for Coach Ritter. When you think about our staff, it's built on guys that want to be transformative. They don't want to be transactional. You know what I mean? We don't want guys coming in and out and whatever. It's like, you got to come here and have a mark and leave a mark. And it got to be so, you got to lead with your heart in this program or you'll get swallowed up. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, you won't survive, And so that's our staff. I'd be remiss too if I didn't, shout out, some of the other guys, man, like our athletic trainer, Theodora Scott, like, yo, this lady, she in the trenches with us, like on a regular basis, like giving up her weekends and doing things, but she does that because she is around us and she understands that being a part of the program, it's life. It's not 9 to 5. It's not basketball season. This is the life that we have. And you know what I'm saying? Joining a part of that. The same thing, Coach James Whitener over in the strength and conditioning facility, man. Like, we got our own strength and conditioning coach. This dude will show up to our guys' apartments who live off campus and put them through work when, we can't get into this spot or that spot. Or, like I said, the commitment to excellence, and I alluded to it when I talked about our university, it extends beyond our staff, but our staff is just a microcosm of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a commitment to the student athlete experience, above all. And so, I've been on some staffs where, again, everybody might have got along, but everybody may not have always came in with that vigor. And, everybody always at different stations in their life. They at different stations in their career. They got different skill sets. And sometimes they don't always blend perfectly. You don't always mesh. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel real, real lucky, man, that this situation, it fit but I'm not gonna sit here and say like it's always easier, it's always rosy, you know what I mean? But the commitment is like being married, you know what I mean? Ain't no divorcing up in here, you know what I mean? When you win, you win. So that's how it is, you know.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. Love to see the passion for the staff.
You wanted me to say something about like what
yeah,
I
no,
like
you're good. You're good. So what do you like? What's one thing you love about your offense, or that you do offensively, defensively, in recruiting, and in culture? And then we'll open up to the audience for questions.
Okay, I won't be long-winded. Y'all getting me right now. So this is how I am. If y'all know me, I'm long-winded like that. So this is how it'll be. So y'all feel free to jump in. But offensively, one thing that I love we do, if I'm gonna just keep this real short like that, I love that we offensive rebound with the best of them. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's an effort stat. It's something that it don't measure your stars. It don't measure your level, high major, low major. Like when you offensive rebound, that show up in the area to me that matter, and that's your heart and your fortitude. You know what I mean? And so we do that at a high level. We've done it, ever since we've been here. Defensively, we flex, man. Like that first year we were all matchup zone. The next year we were all man. This year we were very multiple. We've changed our ball screen coverages. We evolved to what fits our personnel, to what the guys will fly around in. You know what I mean? Like we really commit to being good defensively and not being rigid defensively. We want to be good, not, kind of set in recruiting. And that's, the lifeblood of the program. That's the area that, everybody on our staff already knows is where we got to always be, very, very invested. But the thing that I love the most about it is we honest in recruiting. You know what I mean? I don't sell Bethune-Cookman. We don't do that. We offer opportunities for guys to be a part of what we got. I feel like it's special. You know what I mean? And so when we offer a kid or we start recruiting a kid and build a relationship the same way that our staff is built, it's the same way our team is built. You know what I mean? You get 13 scholarships, you'll never see 45 offers from us. You'll never see an obscene number of point guard offers for one class. Like, we don't get down like that. When we come to recruiting, we tell the truth. And when we come to actual making decisions, we handpick the team and handpick guys that we believe deserve the opportunity, but also will take advantage of the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So I really, really, really love that. As somebody who spends a lot of energy in recruitment, you want that to manifest itself in the right way, you know what I mean? And not be kind of just spinning your wheels or, and then,
don't forget my spot though. You didn't really handpick me, but I kind of put myself in that position. Don't forget my spot now.
You in there. It's like, you know how it is. You handpick because we family,
All right, just making sure. I'm just making sure. You got 13. I need one of those.
Hey, you know what it is, man. And then there was one more?
Culture.
Our culture, man, we got a real refuse to make excuses culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Coach Ritter is real big on we don't make excuses in the program. You know what I mean? Coaches don't make excuses for stuff. Players don't make excuses for stuff. Like you get it done, find a way to get it done. You put your best effort in there. If obviously that don't have success, you man up and try again. You know what I'm saying? And so those are things, again, as a man, as a person, I can stand behind first. And so that's why, those would be the things that I love the most about our program, because I feel like they're things that I want to embody in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. High level stuff. Coach, you made that easy, man. I didn't have to ask too much, man. You made that easy for me. I appreciate that, man.
You talk about two things I love, me and basketball. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Let's
keeping it real.
Let's open up for questions, comments. Said, I know you got something brewing over there as you've been waiting on. You push your commerce small and now you got it big. Let's open up for 3 to 4, maybe 5 questions, and then get to the basketball side. So just hit unmute if you have a question. You don't have to wait on me.
And here, fellas. What's going on, bro? So, Coach talked about how he was groomed to be a coach, and I know that to be true. We would spend all night playing NCAA basketball 01, but we wouldn't play any game. We just play franchise mode and be recruiting for 15 seasons straight.
Hey, that sounds like me a little bit. My brother said the same thing.
Yeah,
that's when I knew he was gonna be different.
Hey, it's funny, man. This dude just told y'all a real live, I'm talking about 15 to 20 year video game career as a coach, as a little kid though. You know what I mean? Just trying to recruit prospects and develop. That's true.
They're grind and recruit.
Yeah. Even then, I knew where I was cut out. B, just get out there. I couldn't play that good, so I just get out there. Try to get the best players to come play with me.
Recruit. My question for you: as you transition from, being the head coach at Southeastern to, now being an assistant again in Bethune, what was that transition like for you? Was it difficult, or what it was? I know Coach Ritter is kind of your guy, but kind of what was that transition like for you going from being a head coach back to being an assistant again?
Great question.
Man, good. It's funny. It was a major change because I ain't in charge of the schedule. You know what I'm saying? Like Coach Ritter say when we having meetings, Coach Ritter setting what time and that. So those are the areas that like you really have a major difference. But for me again, because I believe in what he's doing so much here with the program, I don't gotta really concede that much because he's so collaborative. You know what I mean? Not just myself, Coach Cobb, Coach Reyes, like we all get to sit in there and have input in what we do offensively and what we do defensively and every facet of the program. You know what I mean? And again, he the one who ultimately got the win-loss record going one way or another, but he's a guy that is always, like I said about him, is putting others in front of himself. So, in terms of transitioning, the difficult part of it, again, was just being more of a silent person and not necessarily, I remember that first year I had to like grip my seat because I was the guy that was standing up and I'm talking to the officials because that's what you do as a head coach. You trying to win the basketball game and coach is like, hey man, get out my way. Cause he a guy that like to stand up and be walking up and down, you know what I mean? And so like, hey man, you got to move. Like, hey, you move right here or whatever. So the transition wasn't difficult because of he and I's relationship and because of who he is and the unison in what we believe in. But obviously, I do think that there is, I'd be remiss to say like it's the same. You know what I mean?
No, great question, little brother. We appreciate that. Let's take a few more for our special guests. Don't be shy out there, man.
I got one for him, man. So obviously been coaching for a long time, and as a coach, man, I'm pretty sure you've grown and learned so much from assistant to coach now. It's easy to talk about strength nowadays for everybody. So, but what you've been coaching, been in the game so long, what do you feel like is maybe one of your weaknesses or something that you feel like you can improve on still being in the game so long as far as a coach?
Oh man, there's so much, you know what I mean? You've been around me as a young coach. And just as a person, like I'm always trying to be better, you know what I mean? And always trying to evolve as a person. The biggest area now in my career is I want to figure out how to be, as passionate as I am now. I want to have longevity with this beat. I like, for you as a young guy that's coaching, you look at me like, man, coach, you've been coaching for a long time. I look at a guy like Jeff Price. I look at guys like Steve Ritter, Coach Ritter's dad. I'm a baby in coaching still. You know what I mean? These guys got eons of years and time. And so when I try to view where I'm at in the game, man, I'm toddler still, you know what I mean? In terms of what I can, what I know, and then also, where I kind of view it. So that's not to say like, I don't think that I'm, good at what I do, or I don't, have confidence in what I bring to the table. But, I think that the biggest thing that I'm challenging myself with is I want to have this same fire 30 years down the road. I want to be, fired a couple more times and still getting up and doing it. You know what I mean? And I want to have staying power. You know what I mean? Like that's the one thing that I think that I'm really focused on now is like, I want to do it. You know what I mean? I think early I felt like I did it because it was like, I played and then I coached and that was the thing to do. And now, like I said, I'm 2 feet in years and time. I want to do it, man. And, all of us who do it, we know it's hard to get into the business, but it's even harder to stay in, you know what I mean? Because again, there's sleepless nights. There's times that, we as coaches don't get the credit. We're doing things that, you feel like, man, I got a master's degree. Why would I be doing some 18-year-old kid laundry? Well, because I need him to be ready for practice tomorrow. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you want to always just challenge yourself to, you know what I mean? Love what you do, you know what I mean? And continue to reinvent what that is, you know what I mean? Obviously, you young, you love to recruit, right? And then, when you get a chance to get the clipboard, you love to put your stuff in motion. And if coach give you a chance to break something down, you loving that. And when you have autonomy, head coach, associate head coach, you get up to that, you got to continue to challenge. You know what I mean? And the game itself is the love, but that would be that, B.
Yeah, great question and big time answer. As you can see, why he graduated in 3 years and got his master's in 1. He just used words like eon. I think he said something else earlier. Yo, did he just say that? So yeah, you can see it ain't just all ball with this dude. He got a lot of intellect, man. That's what I've always loved. Go ahead, Seth. I know you got something for me.
Big time. What up, Nick?
What's
Say,
up,
man, you know,
Commerce Lions, stand up, baby. Let's go.
back for life, baby.
Yeah,
Hey, man, what's some of the traits, man, when you out there recruiting? What's some of the traits you out there looking for when you out there looking at those youngsters, man?
I mean, man, that's such a loaded question, but it's true because, you know, when you're young, you just evaluating talent, right? You walk in the gym, who the best guy in here, who jumping the highest, who the biggest guy in here. Your eyes do so much more of the evaluation. And then the older you get and the more experienced you get, and obviously, you know, having a chance to work for different guys, you know, one of the things that I'm really looking for is I'm looking for guys that Coach Ritter love coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm sitting out there, I'm looking for dudes that like he gonna be fired up to be working with every day, looking for guys that want to come in, that I'll be fired up, that Denver and Donald will be fired up, that our players will be fired up to play with. And that comes in so many different packages. You know what I mean? Like that means so many different things when you out there evaluating. You know, and, you know, again, coaches, I'm looking for winners and I'm looking for guys that come from winning programs and all of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Those are, you know, good traits and things to have. But, you know, I think one of the beauties of being a coach is I like to take guys that's a little maybe rougher around the edges or a guy who may not have a pedigree or may not have a name and help him get to that space. You know what I mean? And have that mode. Again, the love for the game is what kind of bring you in the gym every day. And so you want to be in there with guys that want to be coached, that guys that want to be better. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that that's the number one thing today, that like when I go and I'm watching, it's easy to tell who could play Division I. It's easy to tell who could play high major. Like those things your eyes can tell you. And when you do this and love the game, you can see it. But to find guys that fit Bethune-Cookman and to find guys that, you know, like I said, we ain't offering 5 guys for one spot. You know what I mean? We 1 or 2 guys for one spot. We got to hit. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be missing if you know what I mean, in that situation. And so you're looking for good fits, if that makes sense, if that answers your question.
Yeah, straight up, yeah.
Coach Taylor, how are you? Coach Kareem Brown from Niagara County Community College.
What's up, Coach?
Good. Hey, what is your, I guess, feel and take on what's going on in society and how the Black adults' voice is going to be a lot bigger come September?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad you asked that, Kareem, too. Not to cut you off, I was going to get to that one in the end, but I'm glad you got to it so we can get straight to it.
Well, I'll say this, Kareem. I'm Black and I'm proud of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that, like, I wear always with pride. I always have as a young person. You know what I mean? I owe my parents that. They've always instilled in me having pride in being who I am. And so I think that, you know, the way that our world is moving, I'm somebody that I feel has tried to be attentive to, you know, where our social, you know, cues are, where people kind of, you know, interact with one another, and where we're at today and the things that are going on in our country, I think is beautiful. And I think that, you know, it's the struggle that I think is really beautiful. You know, it's the protest. It's as tough as this is to say, it is the death. It is the unrest. You know what I mean? It's the reality of what we dealing with as Black people in our country, as white people in our country, that we're talking about this stuff on the front lines. People who may not have ever even saw quote unquote race are now starting to talk about race. And so I think that is a very pivotal time in history. It's something that I'm very encouraged by, seeing so many young people, you know what I mean? My student athletes, other guys that I'm recruiting, you know, obviously other young coaches, older coaches, just people in general in the game that I love, having an opinion about where we're at as a country. And then to me, dialogue is what always will help advance our society, right? So the more that we can talk about the differences between one another, the easier it is to see the similarities between one another. And I think that we all have a very unique chance right now to, like you said, like understand better how politics work, understand how our voices can be heard, and to have more unity and more quote unquote education about the process and where we are as citizens to be truly democratic. Like, you want to be in a democracy, like you got to be a part of it. You know what I mean? You can't just be in the society and sit back and go, oh, I live in America. Being an American is participating in an election. It's knowing what's going on. It's having a voice. And so, you know, for where we are as a society, I got lots of opinions about different things. So, you know, I love if anybody else got other questions about this. This is something that I really, really have strong views about. But Coach Brown, man, I think that, you know, right now in our history, we got a chance right now to put our mark on the history books. You know what I mean? The 2020, you know, years of unrest will be mentioned in my 6-year-old daughter's history book. And I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can every day to impact that. Because, you know what I'm saying, I don't know that Martin Luther King Jr. lived his life to have a statue erected in Washington or anything like that. He lived for the people that he was with every day. And I'm not no Martin Luther King Jr. by any stretch. But the philosophy behind that, that's what I want to stand on. You know what I mean? I want to make life better for people that's on this call, for people that's not, and all of that. And we all need to be doing that. That's something that I believe in my heart. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you bringing that up. And I'm obviously very open. Me and Coach Ritter talk about it a lot, white guy to black guy. But I love for people to just, let's talk, man. Let's discuss our society and what we can be doing to make a difference. You know what I mean?
Just as a follow-up, do you feel being at a HBCU that you have a bigger voice with some of the things that are going on?
I don't know if I would call it bigger, Coach. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of people in the world and in the country that don't know nothing about Bethune-Cookman or even understand what an HBCU would be. So we are still, you know, we're small private school. We got our due diligence to impact the lives that we come into. But as a college basketball coach, as somebody who's going to come into contact with lots of people, I definitely think that, you know, I got an opportunity that, you know, I need to make a stand, you know what I mean? And I will say this, I do think working at the HBCU has given me more confidence to do so, you know what I mean? And one thing that I think that has happened is a lot more coaches, a lot more minority coaches, they speaking up about the stuff that they passionate about, you know what I mean? And in the society, we haven't always had that confidence. We haven't always had that ability. You know, Coach L, you know, you ain't always been able to go to an interview with your hair bunned up like that, because that's not going to be something that people, you know, have or have that vision. I remember being somebody as a young man, I couldn't have my locks and being that. And so I think that working here has given me more confidence, you know what I'm saying, to have that. But I wouldn't say that it's given me a bigger platform. I mean, at the end of the day, Coach K going to get more views than anything that I tweet or Instagram, you know what I'm saying? But my job is equally as important to advance my culture. You know what I mean? If not more, because of who I am and the lives that I am coming into contact with.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, great. Kareem always has great thought-provoking questions. Well-spoken answer. Not surprised. Again. Let's do this. Let's go to the basketball presentation from Coach, and then we'll have one more question segment at the end. So, Coach, go ahead and let me see if I can make sure you can share your screen. Can you share your screen already, Coach?
It said you disabled it.
Hold on. I'm on the iPad there. We got to figure this out.
I got you.
Struggle bus.
AOB, while you trying to figure it out, you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hey, Coach, so I got a question. So, you know, at the beginning you mentioned about how you was kind of like, you ain't necessarily been comfortable with like networking and just reaching out and all that, you know what I mean? Like, so what advice would you give a young dude that's on this call to go out their way to like reach out, you know, build them relationships with, you know, dudes like you or whoever the case may be? Because, you know, nowadays, obviously, it's about, you know what I mean, like building that relationship with dudes, you know, whether, you know, it's about basketball or just whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a little relationship you got with somebody where it's like Barrett Steve. You know, somebody call you like, hey, I know Beef, like, what's good? You know what I mean? Like, so what advice would you give a young dude, like, to just reach out, you know, start building that as they look to, you know, come up in the business?
Man, great question. The answer is one that's consistent to a thing that I challenge all my guys with, and you remember this. You got to get outside your comfort zone, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? We all got to be comfortable living outside what we comfortable, doing. Me personally, I had to get better at the network and at, being more quote unquote social with people that's not in the inner circle, you know what I mean? And I think that, as a player, we all challenge our players. If you're a good shooter, we challenge them to defend. If, you're a good, athlete, we challenge them to be more skilled. So we always challenging our players. That motto would apply to the coach. You know what I mean? Walk in the talk that you have. You know what I mean? So if you're young and you want to do this, man, do it. You know what I mean? And attack it and do it with a very, unrelenting approach. And, for every no, I always like we say in recruiting, it only take one yes, right? Like, you just need one dude to give you your shot, to get out there and do what you need to do. But I think that is the best advice, man. Like, be outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself. And that's baby steps. I remember myself. I started with the guys I played with. So, as a guy, if you're not a guy who played, coaches. If you want to coach, a coach. So where high school you went to, if you didn't play there or you didn't work there, the coach there. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that those are the places that you can always start with, the people that and build up that confidence and help let them connect you. And the one thing that I really found, and this is, kind of alluded in everything that I said in the story, was like, people were really more willing to help you than you think. You know what I'm saying? Like, people definitely, if you reaching out and you showing the initiative and you are attacking it, people definitely more willing to share information and trade secrets and stuff like that than a lot of people really think. But it ain't one of those deals where we just go and sit down and be like, hey, let me make sure I'm reaching out to 7, brand new coaches. That's something we all should aspire to do as we do it, because that's the beauty of, life. But, that's not the way it always is. So my advice is get out there, man. Get out your comfort zone and, live, attack it. So.
Yeah, I think there's a great answer, Coach. Great question, too, Ferg. I think there's a certain amount of fear maybe or maybe not fear. You just think that other people ain't really trying to hear you.
Yeah.
But I think the part that people respect, even as now I'm becoming more of a veteran coach, same with you, and you have younger guys, it's like when the dudes have the courage or the initiative just to do it, it's like, okay, I see you. It almost makes you want to feel like you have a responsibility and take that and say, okay, this young fella's really trying, like, let me invest in this, because I remember what it was like. But they don't really know if you don't step out there and just go for it. And the worst that can happen is that they ignore you or they don't respond, and then you're in the same spot you started. It's like the pretty girl you want to take on a date. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, let's get straight into the basketball before we get off topic.
Okay.
Let's get to the basketball. I think you should be good. I made you the host. I don't really know how to do it on the iPad, so you're the host, so you should be able to share.
All right.
You don't have no responsibility. Just hit share screen.
I got you. Let's see. Share. Open system preference. Okay, I'm having some security issues here. Letting you in. Hold on.
Coach Morris, you got that fresh shade right now, man. You fresh in the chair. I like it, baby. I like it. Congratulations, man. I think you're still on mute. That's okay, though. Coach Scott, can you hear me?
Oh.
Yeah, I was talking to you, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you fresh out the chair, man. Looking good.
Oh no, yeah, man. I just keep it low.
Clean. Got the fresh white on, man.
Keep it low.
It's a good day in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah, it's a good one today. It's hot though.
All right, you got me now, B?
Yeah, you good. Let's rock it.
All right. Let me see if I can move some of this stuff around. All right, this is a little basketball segment I prepared. I want to kind of talk about my own individual philosophy, obviously how that has kind of flowed into our basketball program and things that we do in our program. And so one of the things that I really want to try to hit, and this is like the truth of my belief, all right, we all coach ball and we all want to be, you know, kind of on the cutting edge or doing kind of what's next. And the thing that I always try to revert back to, and it's something that we all probably heard from our parents, was like, there's nothing new under the sun, right? So there ain't going to be a new down screen. There ain't going to be a new, you know, flare screens. Flare screen's a flare screen, a down screen's a down screen. And so as we are now, you know, the game has evolved in terms of the size of the players, the skill sets that they have, the freedom that coaches are allowing guys to play with. We're trying to be on the cutting edge as a program for how we can implement, obviously, those strategies, but also how mostly our guys and the culture that we have and the things that I talked about in terms of the way we care about them and the things that we encourage them to do as players, how that really reflects in the way that we play. And so, you know, as a program, I talked about coach in terms of, you know, his you know, humility and the way that he wants to share and put others above himself. That's how we want to play. You know what I mean? We want our guys to have opportunity to be themselves and to be their best selves. So, you know, the thing that I'm gonna talk about and the thing that I'll be showing y'all the most is, again, it's more of a challenge to all of us as coaches to be innovative with our own teams and to be creative and to use our own skill sets and the talents that we have to do very simple things in complex and creative ways. And so I'll be breaking down like our baseline out of bounds series pretty much with you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of the game because it's a subtle nuance of the game. You know, how many people really tap into baseline out of bounds all the time. And we're a program that, since we've been here at Cookman, we've been able to be one of the better, you know, in terms of points per possession, baseline out of bounds in the country. And, you know, it's something that, you know, again, our guys have started to take ownership of it. And it's something that's become a culture. So over 3 years, and some of the clips and the breakdown that we'll have, you guys will be able to just kind of see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to kind of let this play. I'm going to do some talking. I'll try to pause it and show some different things. If anybody got a question or whatever, just feel free to kind of step in there. See if we can get this to full screen for y'all. All right. So again, talking about our program. And again, we want to make sure that we're being creative and we want to be, you know, we want to execute. And one thing that we always talk about as a staff, and Ritter is very huge in our meetings, is not tell me what you did at such and such. Don't tell me what the Golden State Warriors are doing. Don't tell me how, you know, Coach K is using Zion Williamson. It's, you know, how do these concepts apply to Bethune-Cookman basketball? So that's where the who we are will always take precedent over what we do, but the what we do is so important. You know what I'm saying? And so our box series is about basically it's us as an essence. And so what you'll see here in these clips, guys, Coach is always talking about being disciplined and aggressive. And we always want to have a hit first mentality. And we're out and we're aggressive in everything that we do. Offensive rebounds, our ball screen coverages, our defensive calls, everything's aggressive. So what you'll see here is the first thing that we do when we go with our box action is we call it down and ready, down and ready. And basically is we want to be the very first team ready. And we treat this like football, essentially. So this is our spread formation, is our box set. And the guy taking the ball out is the quarterback. The ref is the center. So once the ref hand the ball to our guy, we off and running. The play is off and running. And so what you'll see is a series basically of us being in our first option, second option, and third option based off of just being down and ready. And so that's what this is here. I'm going to let this just run. You know, you'll see a bunch of these clips where this is just what we do. And this is giving our guys opportunity themselves to have freedom and some creativity, and it looks different based off of the personnel. You know what I mean? It won't always be the same guys doing the thing because it's, again, a function of the culture that we have. So we will always talk about being down and ready, and our guys being aggressive. They're looking for these opportunities. When the ball go out of bounds, our dudes, they run into their spots, they get in where they want to be because we want to be the first team ready. We trying to get a quick bucket. This is transition basketball for us. You know what I mean? And we always talk about we're at our best when we're running. How do we create opportunities to play in transition in the half court? And what you've seen in these last couple, and what I want to highlight in this one right here, is the play in itself, the ability to make shots or the skill set. That's these guys' individual talent. And so when we recruit them, we bring them here, we're going to let them play. We tell them, you come here, I don't want to change things about your game. I want to enhance things about your game. I want to showcase things about your game. And so what we do is we obviously put them in situations where, very simply, we've been very fortunate to have very good frontline guys on our team. So what you saw there is I want to get my big guys, I want to get them touches around the rim where they don't got to work back to the basket, where the other team ain't able to send they double teams and have their schemes. So for my guys to breed confidence. You know how it is when guys out there, they get an easy bucket. They able to, you know, have some success in the game. They defend harder. They rebound. They run the lanes harder. They take charges. They do those little things because we're cultivating energy by, quote unquote, getting him touches. And so big kids always left out on an island trying to get themselves a look. We encourage them. Hey, if you get down and ready and you can set up shop right on the front of the rim, we throw it in there all day long. And so that's the area where we encourage them to do something that we want to do so that they get something that they want. So there's that mutual relationship in terms of the offense being our system, but their talent. And then the next thing that we want to do, I got to get my shooters or our scorers, I got to get them what I call horse shots. So we talk about, you know, 10-toe down threes. You know, any of us who coach or play, when you go in the gym, you get shots. More often than not, your toes is around the perimeter and the person who's rebounding is down on the baseline. So baseline, inside, outside jump shots is one that we take all the time in our program. So half court sets, whatever, we hunt those in our baseline out of bounds action. And so again, what these guys are doing is playing basketball, being in our system, but they're just using their abilities to do what they want to do. And so the thing that I really want to highlight is the next part of this is it encourages unselfishness. And so what you'll see here, obviously, is our guy who's going to make this three in the corner. But the part that I love is the shot up. Our guy who took it out, he running back. He know this is what we do. And so what we want to try to create is not that confidence in terms of cockiness, but the confidence that they go out there and play free. You know what I mean? Don't be out there thinking at no point in time in the game should the time and score or the pressure or the moment ever feel too much. And so we do that by being very simple in what we do, but giving them so much freedom and execution so that they can be who they are. So that's the part that I wanted to highlight just in that, as we broke down just a very simple box series where all we do is dive a weak side guy to the weak side. And I'm going to show that here in our multiple options through it. But again, the first part of that, just like when, you know, the ball go through the net and the other team, we in transition. So we in baseline out of bounds, guys, we're in transition. That ball go through, like I said, we're looking for a transition opportunity. What's a quick hitter that we could get? Lob to the rim, spray out three. Those are shots that we look for when we're running. All right, the next part of that, and this will obviously show the action, but this is where when you put guys in situations, and again, going back to our football analogy, now you can get what we call the audibles, right? Like the check with me. So you know, anybody who's familiar with the football, you'll see everybody go to the line, they'll get to their deal, and they'll look over at the coach, and then he'll give them their signals, and everybody know what their routes is. We love to do that as a wrinkle in what we're doing. So, you know, over the course of, you know, 2 seasons, 30 games, 60 games, whatever, everybody's scouting, they know Bethune-Cookman running their box action. We can go to our box, we can do check with me's, and we can on the fly wrinkle it where now not only are our guys very comfortable, they're also having an opportunity to exploit some creativity. So we're doing something new, but then they also have extreme confidence. So from game, 1 to game 30, we don't got to put new baseline out of bounds in. We run our series and then we wrinkle it opponent to opponent. So that's what you'll see here in the options. Again, just the different ways that we cycle through this. So here are some of the audibles we got. This is the base set. You can see, again, there's our eyes look. If y'all can see our guy here, we're going to dive our weak side guy and pick on the back side of this. All right, that's just a very simple action that we love to get to because it puts guys in a tough spot. So that's what it'll look like in real time. We take that shot from good shooters all the time. You know what I mean? And that's where, again, it don't got to be like, well, what if you don't got a guy who can make a shot? You know what I mean? We put those guys in those positions. The next cycle, and you can kind of see here real briefly, this is the check with me. You see my man right here. He getting his check. This is his assignment. We're going to run our same look. Now he's holding off. There go to the next progression. So they take away first option. There's a second option. We'll do the same thing. Put our guys in position to play one-on-one at the 10. And again, you see multiple different guys over a course of different years, same action, same look, because again, they're being taught to play. They're being taught to do what we do, but to also be who they are. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we got there. There was a little wrinkle there. We set a little pin down on the screen. So teams, obviously, they scouted. They try to take certain things away. So we'll get very crafty in what we do. And then again, it don't always got to be for the same shot. The offense obviously predicates different looks and different things. And so, we can put guys in that action, and now we got our dominoes falling, what we like to do in our dribble drive, and we get into what we like to do. So our guys are in that. And then this is one of my favorite clips because this is the epitome of what I like to do with our team. I like our guys to go hoop. You know what I'm saying? They sitting out there playing ball, doing what they love to do by running our stuff. And so as coaches, it always feels good to be in the huddle with your X and O, and we can dap each other up at the bench when they're like, man, our stuff worked. But ultimately, I just want to make sure 2 points go on the board, right? So it don't really matter if the credit come back to us as the coach. If the guys got confidence in it, the guys feel like that's something that they can execute, you put them in positions to shooters shoot, finishers, things like that. I think we can have great success. This is the last one. This is the last option. That's our safety guy. And again, he's a part of the play too. We'll take that. So that's our box series. That's kind of very simple. The reads, check 1, check 2, check 3, always can go out there. And again, without the complexity of what are you doing, we setting a pin down. It's about the innovation of our guys playing free, our guys taking our identity as a program to the classroom, to the way they eat, to the way they live, to the baseline out of bounds, to everything that we do, right? So that's a part of it. So here are some areas that, now we're going to get into some coaching. Now this is where we have fun. We call timeouts. We're going to stay in our box. But now you got so much more freedom as a coach to wrinkle it up because you don't got to draw something brand new. Guys ain't asking, where should I be standing? 30-second timeout, minute timeout, the stadium going crazy. Organization. We know this is key to having success, to being on one accord. So we try to keep things very simple where all our guys know what they need to be doing and then execute at a high level. So here goes some of the wrinkles that we got into it. And you can just see same action. Here are some of the wrinkles. You saw they were going to jump our dribble handoff there. That's what they do. We're going to exploit that and steal points and possessions in the game. All right. And so you'll see some of the other wrinkles that we got in this series. There's the fake DHO again for teams that want to be aggressive. Here we got the same. He going under because we've been faking that DHO. Now he going under. We'll take that. So again, you giving your guys rhythm and consistency. One of my favorite little triggers or quotes is, repetition it creates consistency, and consistency is what creates success. And so that's what we want to do, right? There's our last wrinkle. We set the little back screen with our guy. Now, they've been sitting on it, bringing everything to the front side. Now we set the back screen. Again, another wrinkle we can call a ghost action where they don't go. We're moving our chess pieces around to all different deals. Again, putting guys in positions to just do what they do. And then again, what I love is when we have success, you can see our bench, you can see our guys, they able to just have ultimate confidence and go out there and celebrate one another. And this is one of my favorite wrinkles. We go double DHO and let those guys kind of get off. You know what I'm saying? Where, we're moving a guy who they're trying to take away. I'll bring this one back so y'all can kind of see it again. I only put this one in here. Where we go double DHO. So 3 is the guy we want to get to, but everybody knows that he's shot it in this corner. He shot it in that corner. So what we do is just set our pin down. Now his guy kind of relaxes. Here goes the double DHO. And we're able to get our top guy another look. Obviously, we'll take those 3 free throws from a 90% free throw shooter, you know what I'm saying, in his time here. So that's our box series. The principle and what I love about it is the innovation and what we do in terms of, again, just applying who we are as coaches, cultivating a culture of identity, right? Like we want our shooters to have unbelievable green light looks. We want our finishers to be guys that post hard. And if they never get the ball, they kind of bow out. And if your shooters don't get looks. And so these are ways that we as coaches can be better in terms of as assistants. You can be innovative and not take to your head coach, hey, coach, why don't you run my stuff? What we can do is look at stuff that the coach loves, look at stuff that we already got in place, and we can come up with ways that we can wrinkle it where, again, we're being innovative, we're growing as assistants and getting a chance to challenge our X and O's and our opportunities that have input in real time that, again, is going to help us be better coaches. So I segue from the box series to the T series because, again, as we've been here now for 3 years, the series not necessarily changes, but the premises are still the same. So as the personnel evolves, same. I want to get my big guys buckets by the rim. I want to get my shooters free reign and free what I call horse shots. I want to get them free looks at the bucket. I want to get my playmakers to rock in places where they're comfortable. And then ultimately, I just want my guys to be communicating with one another, offensively, defensively, and having ownership of what they're doing. And so what you'll see here then is the inverse. So early, all of our quick triggers were to get it into the post. We got a feature. We had the shooter. And so he was the guy that was featured. He led the league in scoring, was a player of the year. And so he had the green light. So we used our baseline out of bounds as a way to share the sugar with our big kid. Fast forward to a year or two later, now our big kid is the featured guy. That's the guy that we're running all our stuff for. And now I'm using our baseline out of bounds series to free up one of our best shooters because we ain't hunting for him as much. And so what you'll see in our T series is the down and ready action again, the way that it really works, but based off of the team. And so our culture is the same, but this is the new down and ready. We're taking this shot from our kid that, again, is not featured in the offense as being, if you can get ready and come free, we'll let you fry this all day long, right? And so we featured a big kid. Now we're using our baseline out of bounds to make somebody else feel very empowered in the program. And then what happens, obviously, as teams scout it, we're able to kind of wrinkle it, and the guys get ownership. So what we do here is we got, again, the guy that we love to be down and ready, but you can see the alert that the team has on us. So what we'll do now is we'll just bring a double for him. You know what I mean? And that's something that these guys, they figure that out on their own. And as a coach, that's what you want, right? You want them to be solution oriented. You want them to be in the game real time, figuring it out on the fly. And so that's kind of an example of, again, putting them in a situation that they can be comfortable so that they can be free and they can be expressive. You know, we don't want guys out there doing the James Harden, right? We don't want them to do that. So we got to give them the tools so that they can get out there and have that freedom and feel that love that they want to have, right? And so this is one that I want to highlight for our down and ready, because this epitomizes what I want to talk about for us, right? Y'all can take note. We on the road, tight ball game. You know what I mean? This is a situation where, you want your guys feeling the most confident. I don't want my kid right here feeling like he got to be a hero. I want him to know, bro, I just want you to do what you do all the time, right? You prepare for this opportunity. Just because the time and the score have obviously changed how we'll feel about the outcome of the game, it shouldn't change how you execute what we do. And so what you'll see again is just ultimate comfort. Here's us still in a bucket with a second off as we try to fight back. And that's what you want as a coach. You want your guys to look at the game always and be out there flying around. So I don't care if you run dribble drive, flex offense, swing offense, whatever it is, you want your guys to be flying around in it. And I think that that's what we try to do with everything that we do. This is kind of how, we microcosm it with our baseline of the bounds. Here are the wrinkles. So now we don't have this kid as a top playmaker. He's a guy who usually takes it out. We want to put the ball back in his hands. Now we can go back to, this looks like our box series because we're a big DHO dribble drive team. Here we go again, getting the matchup that we want. And I'll rewind this just as a way that we as a team can figure this out. Here they are for them in their defensive triggers where they're going to switch because we bring this guy or these guys out. This is their top defender. They're going to switch him out. And what we want to be able to do is there's the switch out because they want to take away the jumper. Here is the switch back to the matchup that we love. And then we go back to the guy that we try to get to and put our guy back where we wanted him. So instead of throwing it to him at the rim and getting him right at the front of the rim, we can wrinkle something we already do to bring a finisher right back to the 10. And so you'll see, again, same wrinkles, different deal. There's the load up. You see this big kid. There's the load. There's that big gap principle that everybody loves because here's one of our top finisher and free throw guys. So everybody's loaded up. But what we do is put him in position to be a playmaker. And that's what he does. We take what they give. You know what I mean? And everybody, as a coach, you teach that. And so you'll see it again. Same thing. There's the load. Everybody's loading up because they know we want to go downhill. We're a team that puts pressure on the rim. We generate dribble drive action basically in a half court, you know what I'm saying, just by putting our guys in very comfortable positions. And then this is the last one in this segment that I want to highlight because, again, the comfort plays into broken plays, puts guys in comfortable situations. So that's where, again, I'm not asking these guys to go out and be heroes. Just be yourself. Do what you always do. Let's make it another day at the office so that when the game dictates that, you know, we got the defense made a great play. We're able to counter that with just being ready, right? And so I'll let the rest of these play. I won't talk as much on it because y'all obviously can see kind of where we at. But again, this is just the multiplicity and us doing our same stuff. You know what I mean? Getting the ball inside, letting our guys have ownership. So it's not us dictating offense. These are spray out trays, same action. No matter what the defense is doing, you know, no 5-second count and the guy panicking down there. These guys are comfortable. They know this is where we attack. You know what I mean? And every time we got the ball, free throw line, baseline out of bounds, slide line out of bounds, we got the ball, we're in attack mode. And that's something that we, you know, you gotta drill that. You gotta have that culture. So here again is our guys having some freedom against the zone to get exactly what it is we want. Again, they are now having the ownership. So they got the option to check with me. I can coach Ritter. We able to do our thing. But again, ultimately, I want them guys feeling like they see things. They out there. You know what I mean? They know what's going on. And then this one is just, again, this is the inverse. So again, we always started throwing it to the big first. This year, obviously, it was let's get our young guns some shots. But again, ultimately, the bread and butter, the identity of what we do, it never go away. So our guys, they know what we're looking for. They know we want layups, dunks, free throws, threes. That's the culture of the program. So we can run whatever we want to run. They know what to look for. And that's kind of where I love, and this is the last one in here, and I love it the most because this is epitomizes what I'm talking about in our program. I'll just give y'all a quick one. Here's our trigger man. This is our big boy. This is our guy that, you know, we've been kind of running all our stuff for. This is our point guard on the weak side because we don't want a bigger guy to be the best helper. But this is what I love when I say these guys got ownership. Our guys sitting here looking at what's happening. That's just the eyes look from the weak side. That's our point guard feeling like he one of the big guys because that's what we talk about all the time. And then what you'll see as a culture and as a program, our guys feeling like, you know what I'm saying, we the biggest and the baddest team in here. That's how we coach. That's how we want them to play. I need to make sure that we putting them in positions as a coach, as offensive, you know, coordinator and all of those things. You want to make sure that you're putting the guys in a position to be successful. So again, it's the who they are over what we do, but never losing to what we do. All right. So I know I threw a lot at y'all. I stopped it a lot. Very simple concepts. I'm gonna stop sharing this. B, do you do that? Do I do that? I do it. We back, B. We good?
Yeah, we should be good. We should be good.
Okay. So, man, that was, I know I threw a lot at it, just in terms of
that was great.
Simple concept, man. You know what I mean? Keeping it simple is one of my favorite acronyms from basketball camp, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Like, it's just the KISS method. But I think that the challenge, and this is what I believe in my heart as a coach, is you get to show off your coaching when you're able to get your guys to do simple things in a complex way, right? So we're talking about, you know, our baseline of the bounds. One of my favorite examples is Mike D'Antoni. People say like, oh, he's an offensive innovator. He run a high ball screen with a guy that's a great downhill guy, right? But the innovation is the repetition of it. You know what I mean? It's the commitment that this is what we'll do for 90 possessions. And how do y'all deal with that? Those are the innovations where he's putting his opposition in a situation where they got to make a decision. So when you come into a game, your offensive game plan, you know, well, what are we going to run? We're going to do what we always do. You know what I mean? And then when they try to counter it, we're going to do what we always do again. We'll do it in another way. And I think that is where I like to hang my hat offensively. I know Coach Ritter, you know, really believes in that. And that's why, like I said, I think we always get fired up to get in there and do stuff. So, you know, it ain't as fun as maybe sitting down and watching some guys draw up a bunch of different screens or this, that, and the third. But you know, that's where we challenge ourselves as coaches and on our staff to be great X and O guys, meaning we got to coach our team. Like I said, we don't use a lot of concepts with, you know, what do the NBA guys do or what is, you know, Coach K doing over there. I mean, I like it, but I don't got Zion. I don't got Curry, right? We don't have that. So I got to make sure that the things that we implement every day, they apply to the talent that we got. So.
Yeah, phenomenal job, Coach. Let's open for questions. We got about 15 minutes left, so let's rock it out and let's give Coach everything we got as far as questions and give him the love too.
I don't have a question. It's more a statement. Coach Taylor, I think I've come across you a few times through the years. I know don't have a great relationship, but this is the first time I heard you speak. So it's more of a comment than a question. You're phenomenal. You're big time. That's one thing I noticed on this board, man. I would say that Brian Burton all the time. You and Deontay, some guys, y'all huge. Got big time. And you actually gave me my project for the weekend. I like special teams. That's why I call out of bounds situations.
Yeah.
And I'm about to study the hell out of y'all shit this weekend. So you gave me a project for this weekend. But you're a super impressive dude, man. Keep your energy, like keep your passion for this game, man. I'm so floored listening to you, man. You big time.
I appreciate that, Coach, man. Just like I said, it's a passion that's real, and like I said, I'm not great at always. I think we have come into contact with one another. I ain't always great at making that connection or whatever. That's something I'm trying to challenge myself with. But I appreciate the words, and again, that's what I love to do, man. We challenge ourselves as a staff, and these guys that know me that I've been with, I challenge them. You know what I mean, all the time. And so anybody on the call, like I wanted to use this opportunity not to really highlight nothing that we doing. I want to challenge all my coaching colleagues to let's be the best we could be, man. Let's give these student athletes our very best. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. So thanks, Coach. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback on, obviously I'm super biased. It's part of my coaching family, but like I said, just always had an it factor, Coach Gray, and still does, and not even just to recruit or just to, the passion for the game is so evident even when you start listening to this dude talk. Like I said, I asked maybe half the questions I was going to ask because he was just so fired up to answer and go into detail and tell story, and but didn't keep anybody bored, didn't have anybody yawning or thinking, keeps you engaged. And even with the film session, does a great job of having details of the game. Like I said, got an undergrad in 3 years, got a master's in 1. I always used to say that to him when he was young, like this dude was doing stuff. So, glad to hear you say that, Coach Gray. It means a lot coming from you.
Hey, T.
Yeah.
Hey, so do you? Quick question. Do you think for young coaches, because a lot of times when dudes get into business, they don't necessarily know what some things that separate them from being like one of the best, or just kind of solidifying yourself in the business. So like, what are a couple things that you say will separate young coaches that are on the come up or whatever the case may be, with like perks that they can have to their coach? Because like I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was like one of the, it's based on what your presentation was just about based on out of bounds and stuff like that. They were saying, after timeout, a special situation is something that a lot of coaches don't necessarily like take time to really like study. Yeah. So like, what are a couple of things you say like separate dudes, into, or people should really like take time out to study, to separate themselves, especially coming up?
Great question, Ferg. This is one of the things that I talk to a lot of young coaches about, and I'm sure you and I have had this conversation before, but we all got to know ourselves first, right? And so, I'm going to do myself a disservice if I'm trying to be you, or if I'm trying to be Coach Gray, or if I'm trying to be Coach Ritter. We got to know who we are. You got to know what you bring to the table, and it ain't always got to be necessarily what your strengths are, right? Like, I can't say that I always was a great tactician, but I always had a great passion for the game. And so I used that to get better with my X's and O's, my passion for the game. I watched a lot of film as a player. I watch a lot more film now as a coach. So the first advice that I can give any young coach is you got to be confident in who you are and know who you are, and then own that. You know what I mean? Like, have that as your forefront, because you're right. When you sit down as a young guy getting into business, or you're somebody who's new to a staff, or let's just say you've been quote unquote pigeonholed as a recruiter or as whatever, you got to be prepared to be more if you desire to be more. And so it ain't always like, I don't know how many times I suggest stuff to Coach Ritter to get a yes, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't his job to accept my suggestions. It's my job to have suggestions. And that's where, I know who I am. I know what I love. I like Coach Gray. I love special situations. I love the small parts of the game. You know what I mean? Because I think that when I start to look at coaching as a general, I think everybody likes, again, to be the head coach. Everybody want to be the associate head coach or have the title of this, that, or the third. I like to look at the little ways that I can impact our team, but also I can help my guys figure out like free throw blocks out. How can you, be better at that? Or like I said, just the smallest parts of the game that are just so subtle, you know what I mean? And because again, it's the basketball purity of it. So my advice to young coaches, know yourself, be committed to who you are, and own that. And then people will respect that. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, it's like you're trying to prove something to somebody. You don't got to prove it. If it is, it is, right? Like if you good at something, it's going to exist the way that it is because it's what it is, right? And so I think that when you're young and you're trying to, prove that you can recruit or prove that you got X's and O's, don't prove it, have it. And you know what I mean? When that opportunity comes and you get it, take advantage. Like I said, luck is about preparation, meeting that opportunity. And I think that, young guys need to just prepare. And the hardest part is like, well, what am I preparing for? That's a cliche thing. Like, prepare for what? Just prepare for what you want, right? Like, what is it that you after? Why are you doing this? Why are you signing up to be in this business? And then work on that. And then if nobody ain't giving you that shot, that don't mean you should stop doing it, right? Like, if nobody would have told you that you could handle the rock fur, that mean you're going to stop coming to the gym and work on the ball handling. Like, we got to do it because that's what I want to do. It's my desire.
I got a question for Coach Taylor. Hey, Grace, send me that presentation when you get done with it.
I want to study it for real. Army is stuff that's very underrated in Western. All the same concepts, different terminology, but same concepts.
Coach Don, man, first of all, phenomenal job. I had a chance to work with you for 2 years. I got that every day. So I'm still picking up gems. One of the things that really stuck out was it isn't the head coach's job to accept the assistant coach's suggestions, but it's our job to provide them. That is heavy right there. That is a word. Hallelujah, amen. But the question that I have for you, man, is like a lot of us on here are African Americans. And sometimes, I know I find myself in this position. I'm the only brother on staff. And all of the players, they look like me. So I want you to kind of talk a little bit to the importance of being able to connect with your staff and trying to your best to make it genuine while also not losing the favor with the players, because ultimately, you got to have a good relationship with them, but it's very important to make sure, these guys are talking about, well, how do we develop relationships? It starts where you are, right? Yeah. So kind of talk a little bit about that, because you're one of the best that I've ever seen at connecting the staff.
I mean, everything would, and you know this about me, everything go back to authenticity, right? Like if you are authentic in who you are and what you stand on, again, you don't gotta switch sides, or you don't gotta cut what we would consider to be what I call code switching, right? Like, you ain't gotta be one way with the players and one way with the staff. Like, you are who you are, and you commit to that always. And those of us who play, when you got somebody quote unquote on the staff that is being phony about what it is that they bring into the table. It's a tough thing as a young minority coach to be in the trenches with your guys and to have that relationship and to go sit in the meeting and have great professionalism. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this business is about. That's what maturing is about. You would have that in any industry, though. You could be working in, like I always use Enterprise because they partner with the NCAA, but you can be working at Enterprise and be a young brother and be in the office and be the only brother in the office. Like, that's a very strong possibility. You know what I mean? And so your ability to mature professionally is something that you got to do as a man anyway, right? So you a young coach, you got to continue to challenge yourself always just to be better and professional in these things. But when you are true to yourself, it ain't about picking sides or being loyal to the staff or being this or that. You true to yourself. Everybody know what it is. And I think when you think about one thing that I want to be able to do, and, I want to be a connector. I want to be a great connector of our staff. I want to be a connector of our players between the two, amongst all each other. Like, one of the things that like really drive me, honestly, and it's one of the things that we all do, is like, I love it when it's a problem. Like, I love it when we got an issue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I get a call from Coach Ritter at a certain time, I know what time it is, right? But I light up for that, where a lot of times, some people like, bro, I'm lighting up for a chance to stand in the gap and figure it out, because I think, again, that's what this is about to me, right? Like, what we do every day is about being in that gap and being present. As much as I'm there for our players, anybody on our staff, they know, bro, rides to the airport, babysitting gigs, it don't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you invested in the program, you invested in the family, is what you want to do. Like I said, that's who I am. I don't just give that to the players. I'm giving that to my coworkers. I'm giving that to my colleagues. You know what I mean? And so for all of us on the call, we got to be true to who we are. And then, when you think about playing that role quote unquote, as a middleman, as a young minority in the business, and you in an industry dominated by, you know what I'm saying, white men, you got to stay true to that. You know what I mean? And again, that's a tough thing, Wood. I can tell you from my own experience, bro. Like, I'm 34 now. Like, I always didn't wear locks and have the confidence to be that. That came from time and investment. And that's where, you know, being true to me, just it lasted longer than the insecurity did. You know what I'm saying? Like, being true to myself, it outweighed that. And that's where, you know, again, that's the challenge. You know what I mean? You challenge us as coaches, work with one another, give each other comfort to be yourself. You know what I mean? You know, me and B and all these people that I know personally, they will all tell you, like, there ain't no flip switching. Like I said, I'm in this mode all the time. And that's what I think will help a lot of what I consider to be young guys. When you're trying to connect to the players, be connected. You know what I mean? And if you enjoy video games or you enjoy some of the same music or whatever, you can have that. That don't diminish nothing about what you bring to the table in terms of your professionalism or your maturity, right? And then when you go sit in the meeting with your staff and y'all talking about, you know, guys that should play or not play, or, you know, they asking for input on certain stuff, have suggestions. And if it gets shot down, don't be in your feelings. That's, you know what I mean? That's young. Be mature about it. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that we got to continue to grow and challenge ourselves, where we got to be proud about being, you got to be proud about being the only young Black dude on that staff. That's a badge of honor, because you have an opportunity and a duty on a lot of fronts to your staff and to those players. You know what I mean? If you accept that responsibility, it shouldn't feel like pressure. It should, you know what I mean? It should feel like something that, you know, you take pride in. Like I said, you're going to leave your mark on a lot of people there for that.
Great answer, Coach. I think to piggyback too, you touched on it, man, and you have always been a guy who probably was going to lean towards your, as you put it, staying true to yourself versus that insecurity. But I think that's the battle when you're young in your profession, is trying to figure out, okay, I want to fit in here. I want to make sure the staff is feeling me and I'm vibing with them, but I got to stay true to who I am, and I'm kind of on this side. So I think just to add to what you said to answer that question too, is just as much preparation as you can be as an assistant to be able to continue to gain more credibility from your staff that doesn't look like you, helps you. And then just pick your spots. Don't feel like you have to solve it all in a day. Don't feel like your credibility will continue to be earned over time. And I think that's the hard part for young coaches too, is you want that pat on the back or that assurance to make you feel like, okay, I'm doing a good job. But it just doesn't come that fast very often. You just have to keep chopping wood, as they say, or keep pounding the rock to where eventually they start seeing, like, this guy's consistent. He's prepared. Yeah, he has fun with the players, but he's also on point. And then they start to adapt to you instead of you having to adapt as much to them. It just takes time, if that makes sense. That's what I would add to what Coach said.
I want to add one thing, Wood, and this is just, you know, my own little pep talk. You know, again, I know this ain't a question for you specifically, but to the group, man, I think that Coach just hit on something that's so big. It's the time investment, man. And, you know what I mean? If it's something that you love to do, you got to be willing to invest the time. We preach that to our players. You know, you gotta walk the talk, man. Like, you know what I mean? And some of the things that we coach these guys on every day, you know what I mean? We coach ourselves through on a regular basis. And I think that, you know, when you get an opportunity, you know, like I said, to make a stance or to have a voice, you have a duty to yourself to use it. You know what I mean? And so I think that, you know, when you look at, again, your opportunity less as a job and more as an opportunity, I think it's easier to be fired up and to not have, you know, again, your feelings or the disappointments entangled in it. Because again, it's like I said, you know, you bring recruits to the table and we go with another guy, you can't stop bringing them to the table, man. You know what I mean? Like, we got to just keep on rocking and rolling through it, because that's the work that need to get done. And if we love it, we got to love the work, just like you putting in time with, you know, your guards and your skill development. So it's the same. That was a good point, Coach.
He snuck in entangled. I don't know if y'all caught that. That's a big word right now. He snuck that in there. In honor of Jada, he snuck that in there. All love to Will and Jada. Let's take two more and then let's wrap it up. So anybody who has any questions, comments, anything they want to say, I know Coach Ritter's on the call. Feel free to jump in too, Coach.
Well, Coach T, I got a question that maybe you can just help some of these guys with, and I'm going to embarrass you just for a minute, because Dre, and for everybody out there, you're seeing a small version of Dominique. He's everything and more that you're seeing. He's as good as I've ever been around at any level. It doesn't matter, white, black, yellow, purple, men's basketball, women's basketball,
Amen.
CEO.
Amen.
It doesn't matter. He's the real deal. So, and this is what I'm getting to is, Coach, if you can hit on this, because I think we all try to network. We all, in the back of our minds, still have some type of vision of doing something bigger or different. And the part that I'm so appreciative is you stay 2 feet grounded. You wake up every day and you work at Bethune-Cookman like it's the Los Angeles Lakers, and never ever do you ever have 2 feet or 1 foot out the door, and yet you're so capable of doing that. So can you just kind of talk about the importance of, being where you are, but also at the same time, man, I think me and you've had enough conversations that if there's an opportunity that presents itself, I'm gonna be the first one right there pushing you to make you leave because they're that capable. So can you just help some of these guys of the balance of those?
Yeah. I mean, well, one, I appreciate the kind words. You know what it is between you and I, Coach. And I think that I'm happy to let a lot of people into you and our little relationship, just because I think that it's such a unique dynamic, and it's special. You know what I mean? And so I hope that you understand how much I appreciate just the opportunity beyond that, and you know how reluctant I am always to get out. But the truth of the matter is, for me specifically, that's the way that I was as a player, and it's who I am as a person. Like, when you do anything, you got to put your all into it, right? Like, there's one of my favorite quotes, like, if you got a backup plan, you preparing to back it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to go all in with what you are, and there is no place in the world that I can have a greater impact than where I'm at. So, as much as everybody on this call want to have the multi-million-dollar deals being handed out in the Power 5 situations, and as much as we all maybe want to have our name in the limelight, the reality of the matter is when we line it up every day in this office, like the statement you just made, when I watch, I think Joe is on this call. I watched Joe French, muscle guys off on the road for a 2-point bucket that we need when we didn't know where he would fit when he first got. When I watched that, bro, that's what that commitment is. And so I think the challenge then for all of us is to always be that. You know what I mean? It's like, treat it like a marriage, treat it like something that is the most valuable thing to you, if it is. And that's the way we would do it. You know what I mean? You don't have a wife and a girlfriend on the side. Like, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? And I think that here in our program, because of you, I always want to have that. Like, I want our guys, the guys who recruit, the guys that come work here, people who hear about our program, I want them to know, like, I love it here. And I don't care who worked here before or anybody who came and had bad experience. I'm here to tell you this spot is where it's at. And the dude that I'm with is who it is. And that in culture and that environment is, again, to go back to what you said about not making excuses. So, to go back to just what you said about being 2 feet in and being present, I mean, that's great advice, Coach. I mean, that's great advice to everybody on the call and everything that we do. That's why I say Coach Ritter, one of the best, y'all, because that don't got nothing to do with really ball. That's stuff that we could all apply to our every single day life. Be present, man. You know what I mean? And, that's the best advice I would give myself as a young guy. I wrote Calipari that letter, and it wasn't because I was 2 feet out of the door, but I was thinking about, the future and how it could be. And not that you should ever stop having aspirations, but you can't give your all to a program if you're thinking about your next opportunity. And in my opinion, the players know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that when you line it up and you breaking down film and you working guys out and you just over the course of a season, the guy's gonna know who was in there with him and who wasn't. You know what I mean? It's a very cliche thing for a lot of coaches to go, oh man, I spent so much time with the players and this, and you always say this, do you really? You know what I mean? Like, are you really in the trenches with these guys? Are you really invested in their life? Are you their families, their backgrounds, they fears, you know what I mean? They insecurities. Are we digging into that? And you can't do that if you're thinking about yourself, if you're thinking about what's next. And so I gotta attribute a lot of it. This is what I said when I kind of was talking about you. I mean, you rubbed off on me in that way, because again, as a young person, I was kind of like that. I wanted to be on the next and the hottest in the scene, and just watching you go about your work every day as a leader and as a servant, I'm like, there's another way to do it, right? And you kind of showing me that. So kudos to Coach. I know we'll sit on here and everybody be like, oh, y'all just sit there and pat each other on the back all the time. It's like, yo, it's my guy. And you know what I mean? Like, that's the love that's really there though. You know what I mean? It ain't for show. It's that's the real, you know, and that's why I say I think that.
No, that's how
Yeah.
you do special things. Though. I was gonna say that just to jump in. I mean, being present where your feet are, I think, is one of the toughest challenges to follow Coach Ritter. One of the toughest challenges in this business for everybody at every level. And the older you get in it, the easier it may get. But I don't know that it ever becomes easy until you just sell out for that approach and that philosophy. And to your credit, even though you said you may have had the eyes to do other things, you've always been a guy, whether it was Neosho, obviously, guys, you have former players on the call. You always been 2 feet all the way in, 10 toes down, wherever you've been. And making that place feel like, even when you talk about it, it's like, man, I want to be over there. What they got going? And he make that stuff sound good. You know, I think you've always had that ability. So credit to you, man, and great answer. Great input, Coach. Glad you got a chance to chime in. That was big time. Let's take one more, and then let's let Coach have some final thoughts, and we'll close it out.
And I got a question, man. I mean, just to talk about you guys' relationship, Coach Ryder, and then you, Coach Taylor. And so I know somebody else brought up about
Coach Ritter, young fella.
Hey, I knew that was coming.
I'm sorry, my bad, Coach Ritter. Man, my
he
fault.
wanted to correct you like he was still coaching you one.
Hey,
he wanted to have his boys back.
Hey, look, it's all good, man.
He know.
Kind of like a little open discussion for you two. I know we mentioned how some guys are probably the only African American black on their staff, and so with you two being so close and with everything that's going on in the world, have you guys had a conversation about social justice before this? And if not, how was that conversation with you guys two now, prior to you guys being so close? And or did you guys have to educate each other? Like I said, you guys are super close, so this is probably something I probably talked about before. So kind of summarize that up for everybody, you know, just how that conversation may have went between you guys, past and present.
Big time. Well, let's let Coach Ritter go first, and let's let Nick go second.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had that conversation. We've probably been having this conversation for the last 7 years, really. And it started with our first recruiting class at Daytona State. You know, was it as specific and geared as it is right now? No, definitely not. But I gotta be honest with everyone. Being a white guy at an HBCU is a unique experience. And I've been really fortunate. My dad's a coach. I've been around black people my whole life. It's never have ever thought anything different. And I realized that was a problem, because when I got what the last 3 years has really taught me, it's educated me. I am fully aware. I am not a young black guy. I will never be able to teach a young black person, how to be a black male. I just won't be able to. I'm white. I can't do it. Now I can teach them how to be a good man. I can teach them some basketball stuff. But I can never sit here and say, hey, I know what it feels like to be black in America. And for the last 3 years, having the opportunity to be at an HBCU and really understand that maybe everything that I've learned my first 33 years, there's actually another way. There's another thought process. And then you get to form your opinions on different aspects of society and culture. So for me and Coach T, man, he has been a blessing for me to have real candid conversations, but more so than conversations, the ability to change perceptions. And, he's had so much impact, not just on me, but my wife, my daughter, my family, because we get to have, people say hard conversations. Well, they're hard when people are ignorant. These are conversations that we're genuinely trying to understand viewpoints of each other and genuinely trying to make this world better. And, so for us, I think, it's heightened, but I can't say it's anything new that's been going on here the last, year, 2 years, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off Coach AB. Like, obviously, me and Coach, we connected when we were a lot younger, and right away, the energy between us, I think most people who kind of came into contact was like, they got a good thing going. It's kind of a little tandem, and right away, I'm black, he white, so automatically, we got the new salt and pepper, we got the ebony and ivory, we got like all types of different things where it's like, y'all don't want to punch, that's how y'all get down. And I think that a lot of times, I know, for me, it's always an opportunity to speak to Coach very candidly, but it's also a chance for me to understand why maybe the perception of what we would consider, why perception of black people is the way it is. Like, he a white dude, he know. So I'm asking him, like, what do you think about this? Or, what is your experience with that? And he's got obviously friends and family and people that he's been in his life that he's come into contact with that he can share their experience. And so for me, I know that having him, who he is, and obviously looking the way he look, it's been very, very beautiful to me, because I think that what I love to do, just as we talk about modeling behavior for our players, I like to model that for society, right? Like, we role models as coaches. People look up to us, when we go into places. And so as much as I got black love, we got to be able to have, white love. There got to be a situation where, we have the onus to have pride in who we are and to not be defined by them. And I don't like to use the term us and them, but for the sake of the conversation, like, black people gotta not be defined by white people, and the stigmas and the social cues and the things that they have about us, that don't make it what it is. Because somebody might call you a thug, don't make you a thug, right? And one of the things that for me was super important when I first started coaching, and Coach Ford can attribute to this, and the guys that have been with me from young, like, where I'm from in Grand Rapids, like, I got very humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, Pops was a coach and in a lot of circumstances, but my life wasn't always in a space where I was destined to have a master's degree or none of that. Like, I don't come from a place where it was expected that I would go to college. You know what I mean? And so having that opportunity, and then being in a situation where I got opportunities to sit there, for me, I always look at every experience, every interaction with any person as a chance to tear down stereotypes. You know what I mean? So when you think about, for y'all who don't know, I got some tats that's very visible from, when I was younger. Obviously, everybody can, see the hair situation. I remember when I was a lot younger, before I grew the hair, I used to rock a thicker beard, and everybody would be like, yo, you gotta. And for me, it was always a way that I could stay true to me, because when I was young, I always liked hair. I worked real hard. Anybody who played with me will tell you I worked hard on growing a beard, guys. I was the struggle beard guy when I was super young, you know what I mean? And so when you get those things, and that's who I was, I wanted to be able to have that. And as people have questions and they try to have those, judgments, I try to use my opportunity, be always like, oh, man, you're using these words or that. I love that. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that, when I went to school, I loved to sit in the classroom and the teacher to think that I was just one of the guys on the team that was trying to get passed through. You know what I mean? And I would be the one that, like I said, I'm going to raise my hand and answer this question in the class of 100 and something people. You know what I mean? And I want to have that type of attention. And I've always had that approach. But I think that for where we are in this conversation, and I think to go back to the society, we gotta set the example. And I'm not saying me and Coach Ritter, our job is to cure racism, right? But we got an opportunity as real live brothers to let people know that, like, it's not that color don't matter. It's that color matters enough that it ain't the most important part of the relationship, right? So I think that a lot of times the excuse is always, I don't see color. You gotta see color. You know what I mean? You gotta have pride about being black. Just like as a white person, you gotta have respect at the fact that it's harder for black people in our country and has been for a long time, right? Those are truths that we gotta live. But the reality of it is what is it that we want for our society, right? We want togetherness. Well, then what we got to be? We got to be together. You know what I mean? We got to do that and have that unity. So it ain't ever like me and Coach Ritter gonna get together and be like, hey man, let's put a good front together and show people that black and white can stand. It's real. That's my guy. You know what I mean? And it don't matter what it is. And so for me, hopefully that shows our players, it shows the other people that we come into contact with. I know Coach Ritter probably deals with some stuff that he might not share with me as a white dude leading the HBCU program. You know what I mean? Because there are probably people who got opinions about that. But I think what he's able to do and what we're using our platform to do, the same thing that NBA guys and college coaches at high levels or whatever, they're just speaking out. I want to live it out. Kawhi said something about it like, oh, I ain't putting nothing on my jersey. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. I'm going to keep putting that action into play. That's real life, B. You know what I mean? And this is where we talked about earlier in this call. We all at a point in history, man, we're going to get a chance to leave a legacy, you know what I mean? And then make a difference and make a stand. And we shouldn't be doing it to have statues erected. We should be doing it because this is the world we want to live in. If you really believe that we are equal and we should be one accord, you got to live that every day. You got to bring that to the table in everything that you're doing. You know, so, long-winded answer, but the truth of the matter is, like I said, I think that, you know, more people need, like I said, it ain't hard discussions. It's not a hard topic to talk about black and white. What it is it's uncomfortable because there's some ignorance and people got to be more comfortable to admit, I don't know what it's like to be white. Like Coach will tell you, he don't know what it's like to be black. He don't know. You know what I mean?
No, that was great, Coach Ritter. Thanks for your input on that, man. Really appreciate you opening up and did a great job by you. I think the part where it becomes challenging or hard is people that aren't in this space. Like, let's be honest. Coach Ritter's been around black people his whole life. His dad coached. He's coached. He's at an HBCU. Like, it's comfort for him, whereas a lot of white people, it's not comfort for. You know,
Right.
that's just the reality. So I think that's where the challenge comes in, and I credit Coach Ritter for, you know, just being who he is, period, because he's going to be able to help be a big part of the solution in his own ways, in his own circles, and then that will spread and spread and spread slowly but surely. But it takes some people that are on the majority of anything to help the minority, you know, and even not to get off topic, but I think we all, and credit to our best bucket getter on the call as the lone female, other than Ms. Miller, is, you know, the Me Too movement. Like, men don't understand what that's like. We have no idea. So we had to take a step back and really evaluate some things differently and look at, like, how we're respecting women differently and how, I mean, look at how every school has Title IX training now, and it's become a main part of what we do. And so I think this part of it is very similar because there are a lot of people that don't understand the plight of being black, and that's okay. But there's also a lot of people who may not be as open to Coach Ritter as learning that. So that's the part where the difficult conversation comes in. So not to get off topic either, but I know.
I want to make a comment on what you said.
Yeah. I know Coach Ford wants something too. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so true though, man. Like you said, Coach Ritter got a unique experience because he grew up around black people. So there is a level of comfort there. But the one thing that I love about sports is it tears down those barriers, right? Like, we can look at some of our most racist states in terms of things that have happened in the past in the South, and all of those quote unquote people who may have ignorance or may not have that exposure, they fans of programs that field large numbers of minorities, right? Large numbers of African Americans. And that's where I think, like I said, our duty as coaches, we have the space. We got to continue to empower and continue to push that out so that it creates that environment where they have exposure, right? Like, when you grow up in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, and you don't know any black people, you know what I'm saying? And your only experience is what's being shown on the news or what's being portrayed in history, then it's our job as young black people on this call or white people on this call or people who have mentorship and leadership influence to make sure that we're using our platform to make sure that we can reach them in some regard. We coach kids from those areas. We interact with people from those areas. And so that's why it's so important that we model this behavior and we live it so that they can have those experiences. Because they may not ever come up and speak to me, but if they ever see me interact with other people, I want them to say, I know some educated black people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that one thing that me and Coach Ritter talk about is it goes both ways, right? I was a kid that before I went to college, I didn't have no white friends. I didn't grow up in an area where there was a lot of white people. You know what I mean? My city is a very Caucasian place, but the area that I was in it, I would have never known that, right? Until you get older and get out and experience. Well, that works on both ends. So this is where, you know, again, Coach Ritter's experience, it's a double-edged sword. I got some guys on my team that don't know any white people who care about them. And he gives them that on a regular basis on the same end. And that in itself is changing lives because now when they interact with people who don't look like them or they go out and experience, they can help change the narratives. And that's really what this whole movement, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, all we want to do is control narratives, right? We want to make sure that people know really who we are and not who they perceive us to be. So you made a good point. I wanted to just make sure that I got that out there, that it is easier for us because we work in sports and sports usually, quote unquote, you know, blend colors, but they fans of ours, right? Like, you know, coaches have fans, players have fans. We got a chance to influence the world through our sport. We got to take that. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's important that we have these conversations.
No, big time stuff. And you bring up a big, really powerful point that probably hasn't been brought up as much. And that is that a lot of it goes both ways. And so a lot of Black men or women may not have had positive experiences, not only with white people, but also take it a step further with police. So the way that it's looked at is like, well, that's the enemy because I don't know any positive experience. So we all have a responsibility to just, like you said, walk the walk and understand. And not only do we need to ask questions, share and listen, but also model the behavior that we want people to see us differently, and we want them to see whoever the opposite, whether it's whoever it may be, for them to have a different experience than maybe what they have in their head. So I really appreciate both of you guys breaking that down. I know Coach Ford had something before we close he wanted to ask.
Yeah, let me jump in here real quick. Appreciate it, Coach.
Great heads up too, by the way, Coach. Great heads up.
Man, appreciate it. That's self-done right there.
That beard too. That quarantine. Go.
That ain't bad. But you know, that's a really powerful discussion. You guys have a lot of good things to say. I kind of want to ask more of a personal question to you, bro. When you were presented the opportunity to, you know, go to Bethune with Coach Ritter, I know that's your guy. Did you have any reservations, or do you have any now about kind of being pigeonholed as a HBCU coach, and you know can't coach at, you know, PWIs or, you know, things of that nature? And then second thing along those lines, you know, you talked about growing your hair out and you got locks now. You haven't always had long hair. Do you think that having long hair and having locks is going to prevent you from having head coaching opportunities in the future as ADs and presidents look at you as a young Black man with locks? They might shy away from, you know, hiring you in the head coaching position?
Man, beautiful question.
Bringing the heat. You're bringing the heat. Real quick. Real quick though. You gotta define what PWI is, so everyone else knows. Since you know, and some of us know, what is that, Coach? So just for the people that are listening.
You don't know. That's a predominantly white institution.
Go ahead.
Just making sure.
Yeah. So to go back to the first question, the reservations. No, because again, it's Ritter, and again that in itself is a luxury, right? Because again, our relationship helped appease some of kind of where I wanted to see myself and where I wanted to go, because I know who I was going with. So that kind of helped some of it. But the truth of the matter is, and this is something that again I've evolved, I've matured. My why for coaching, it ain't rooted in the perception of other folks or the opportunities that will be there, right? Like the truth of the matter is, and we alluded to this about being present, like I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm making an impact in the lives that God is bringing into my life that I should be. So I'm where I'm supposed to be, right? And so like opportunities to advance or quote unquote, you know, maybe work at a level different than the HBCU or whatever. I got a favorite quote, and Coach Ritter will tell you this. It's all Division I, right? So this mid-major, high major, low major tag that we apply to it, one of my favorite things to tell our guys, and we talk about it all the time, is only one level. It's Division I or Division II. There ain't no such thing to me as low major or this. So I don't subscribe to that quote unquote title. So I don't let that make me feel no type of way. And the school itself obviously is historically Black. It's not exclusively. So again, in the perceptions of what people might think about the school or the leagues or any of that, you know, again, we live in a society now where, again, this school was established so that people that look like me and you had access to education. It's staying today so that all people can come and go here. You know what I mean? And I kind of talked to Coach B about this earlier. Like, you will be super surprised, man, if you walk on our campus, the diversity of our campus. And I'm not just talking about Black and white. I'm talking about other countries, other pigments, you know what I mean? Like just the freedom of expression here, sexual orientation, like the freedom of expression and access is such a different environment than anything that I think you can get at a PWI or a school that may be, you know, a little bit more conservative. Not to say that we liberal in any stretch of the imagination, but again, ultimately, you know, when Mary founded the school, it was so that people who didn't have access had access. We standing on that today. You know what I'm saying? And so to go to the next point in terms of, you know, head coaching opportunities and, you know, whatever, this goes back to what I said in the original. I know who I am and I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so if I miss on opportunities because I look a certain way, then those aren't opportunities for me. You know what I mean? And again, will I cut my hair? Yeah, I will. I might cut, but it ain't gonna be for nobody else. It'll be for me. You know what I'm saying? And will I put myself in a position to maybe have this? Again, I'm coaching for the guys that wear my jersey. I'm not coaching for the guys that sit in the office and write budgets and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so again, the opportunities, I will attack them, looking for it. Any ADs on the call, I'm your guy, whatever, right? But ultimately, no, when you bring me into your program, I'm there for the players. That's the truth. You know what I mean? And again, that's not to diminish the university, because again, I got to have pride in it. But my job is to steward over those young men. It's to lead them. It's to mentor them. It's to encourage them. It's to cuss them when they need to be cussed. It's all of those things. And so, when I think about my career and where I may end up, or what opportunities can or cannot happen, I have ownership of my career, because again, it ain't hinged on anybody's title or any university on the front. I'm going to coach regardless if Coach Ritter fired me tomorrow. Coach don't fire me, all right? But I'm going to coach. That's what I do, right? So I think that, again, when we got that when people have that level of conviction about themselves, again, yeah, I'll be lying to you if I ain't tell you I had insecurity about, the way people would perceive it. But the honor that I got in tearing that down, right, it make me go harder. You know what I'm saying? Like it put me in a position where every single day I'm looking for an opportunity to prove somebody wrong based off of what they may think, or prove them right. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that that's kind of where me personally, that's my challenge. That's my ambition. That's where I'm at in my career, in my life. And, that's a luxury, because I work with somebody that I enjoy working with. I'm doing something. I live in a city I enjoy. There are tons of things that I think afford me a perspective that may not apply to everybody. But I think if everybody had a why and they knew why they lining up, it wouldn't matter what other people's decisions are. You know what I mean? What people decide or what they think about you, it don't make you. You know what I mean? So I hope I answered your question. But
no, best way to answer, Coach. Big time stuff, and I think that's the stuff that you build in yourself and that you acquire over a career of seeing some of the ins and outs and seeing some of the, I don't want to be that way. I thought about being this. This, and you kind of get in that place, like you said, you're 34, so you're in that space where it's like, this is me. You either take me as I am or you don't take me at all. Like, I'm not changing, and I appreciate that so much. And there's so much to be taken from that. So big time stuff today, man. We'll let you have some closing thoughts. Obviously, we know this is Rising Coaches. We give much love to them and thank them. Thank everybody for coming. Was as good of a session as we've ever had, and as high level of a guest. I tell people this all the time, man. And me and Coach Bostic talked about this on the Super 6 panel that he was on, but it's not about the logo on your shirt, man. This not what this is about. This is about impact. And one thing I love about we've been fortunate to have some impactful guests nonstop. You have represented that at a high level for HBCU, because at the end of the day, the perception says one thing, but anybody that was on this, anybody that will see this further, anybody that will watch the replay will be like, yo, HBCU coach talks like that. He knows basketball like that. And that's part of the fighting the stigmas too. But I just give so much credit, and hopefully any young coach, any older coach, any coach, period. Like, it's not about the logo on your shirt, man. And I appreciate so much how you representing Bethune-Cookman and representing HBCU and just representing who, period. So, we'll let you have your closing thoughts.
Brian, let me say one thing real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Possible. I'm Morris Scott, of course, from I'm coaching at ULM now, but I like the energy that you got, Coach Taylor. I was able to watch you a couple of seasons ago. I came to a game. I actually went to Florida A&M. So I came to a game and you guys were playing Bethune and Florida A&M. I think you smacked them up. But at the same time, your energy on the sideline was just incredible to me. But like you talk about, like the guy was saying about the stigma of being an HBCU, I went to HBCU and I've worked in HBCU, a lot of years. And I've worked on the PWI side too, so I've been at Florida A&M as a GA, right, for a white coach and Mike Gillespie. That was like a big time JUCO coach in the state of Florida. He went there, and we hadn't went to the NCAA tournament but once, and in 5 years he went twice. So he really turned the program around and had it going in the right direction. So I kind of got a similar experience, kind of like you, working for somebody that was a little different, but had to be able to go in there and try to break that barrier at the same time.
Yeah.
Then I was at Southern University, and I had other opportunities to go somewhere else. Like they say, you get labeled as a, HBCU guy or whatnot. But my challenge was to make sure that we went into every game prepared and ready and was going to compete every night in and night out. And we had, and we was right there knocking down the doors of people. Like, we had big wins. Like, every year we would have a win. Like, we beat Texas A&M, we beat Mississippi State, we beat Wyoming, we beat Tulane. Like, I mean, teams didn't even want to play us. And the reason why I got hired here is because we came here one year and we beat them by 30. Their own building. So that's the way you earn your respect. If you're at a HBCU and you playing against these PWIs, you go in there, whoop them a couple of times, they'll start respecting what you're doing and understand that you got a great understanding of the game of basketball and how well you prepare your team. And I think you guys doing a great job. I know that's the rivalry school, Bethune-Cookman for me. But my oldest brother actually went there and played baseball. He was a pretty good baseball player there. So I've been knowing the school ever since like 91. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm an HBCU guy. So I just want to throw that out there and tell guys, if you're on here and you're an HBCU guy, or you're a small college guy, don't get discouraged. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think, like y'all said earlier, if you work hard and you win games, people are going to recognize what you're doing, and you're going to be able to make it. A lot of guys always tell me, man, you should do this, you should do X, Y, and Z. I never left Southern because I was happy at Southern. I thought we had a great thing going, and I was comfortable. The guy that I worked for, that was the first staff I ever been on where everybody was connected, kind of like what you said, Coach Taylor. Like, and when you find that, man, it's tough to just let it go.
Yeah.
It's tough to just let it go. When you find a staff that's really connected.
It's like gold. It's like gold.
Yeah, it's like gold, because you don't really get that. That was the first time I ever had it where everybody was connected. So that's just my little spiel for you guys. I don't know what it's worth, but I just want to throw that out there and tell you, hey, man, I'm rooting for you. I'm going to be following you guys. Except for you have to play us, though.
Hey, I appreciate it, Coach. You know what I mean? Just honestly from my heart, like I really do. The words and you got that Rattler tied to you, so we'll keep it smooth for everybody on here. Everybody who don't know, Cookman FAMU is high level competition.
Yeah, it's high level seriousness.
Yeah, that's the what is it? What they call it? The Hatfields and the McCoys. That's Civil War right there. You know what I mean? But man, I just want to I want to just take time out, man. I appreciate every single person step in and take time out just to honestly like listen to me talk about something that I love. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is what I do. Coach Ritter will tell you, Coach Cobb, like this is what we do. You know what I mean? This is a day in the office for us, talking about ball, talking about life, trying to better one another, better our program. And so to do it at this level with so many obviously great people, catching up with some people that, have impacted me in such a way, man. I appreciate y'all time. You know what I mean? Just having a chance to get out here and speak. You know what I mean? The situation with All Access and Rising Coaches, man, just high level stuff, you know what I mean? Just stuff that's so fast forward and thinking futuristic, you know what I mean? And I think that it need to be celebrated that, you taking time and energy and putting these things in a space where we can have think tanks like this and talk about energy and ideas amongst one another and better our industry, man. You know what I mean? Like we got a duty as coaches to make sure that the guys who ain't coaching yet, that they gonna walk into a business that's better. You know what I mean? That young brothers 30 years from now will get better opportunities, and that people will have situations that women will coach men. You know what I'm saying? I see you over there, Coach L. Like those are the things that we tasked to do. And that's why I say it goes so much further than ball. And that's why, my last thing that I just want to talk and just, if anybody can take anything from me or in this conversation, just know that what we do with basketball guys is such a small part of the job that we are tasked to do, and the opportunity that we presented to have impact, man. We come into contact with so many more people than other people in the world. You know what I mean? And I think that we got to start using that platform as big or as small as you think it is to impact everybody that you touch positively. You know what I mean? And like don't let the world happen around you. Like, make it happen. You know what I mean? Whatever that mean to you. You know what I mean? If you ain't a guy that want to protest or whatever it mean to you, whatever world you want to live in, you take it by the horns and make it happen. Manifest it, not with your words, but with your actions on a day in and day out basis. And, you know, stay true to who you are. And, you know, man, just keep having much success in your careers. Unless y'all lining up with the Wildcats, then I wish you nothing but the worst. And, you know, if you run into me on the recruiting front, I wish you nothing but the worst. But ultimately, other than that, man, I wish everybody the best. You know what I mean? Straight up the best. And, you know, I appreciate you, B, for giving me an opportunity to get out here and let people get to know me a little bit better. You know what I mean? It ain't something that I'm always the most comfortable with, you know what I mean? Just letting people in. But, you know, this was such a beautiful space for it, you know, and so I really appreciate you for that, bro.
Yeah, man, it's been love. Appreciate everybody for coming on. And I think, like Coach said, we'll just end with those words of, you know, let's just keep continuing to create the space in the world that we want to have. We have a responsibility to do our part to impact change and help enact that change in a positive way with our players, with our communities, with our families. So let's just keep spreading that love and keep getting better, keep winning these games in the meantime. But more importantly, winning games with the players and people we impact. So thanks so much. We'll be on again Thursday with the player development coach, Nick Graham, if you guys want the inbox, and then we'll have the replay posted in the next 24, 48 hours for Coach if you want to copy that too. So thanks so much, and thanks again to Rising Coaches, and we're signing off.